Tonight, we have learned the homeowner called 911 after shooting a man inside his house.
And so I'm standing in my kitchen. I got my back to the stove, just waiting on him to come out. He comes up to me immediately. He doesn't say a word, and boom, hand up under the neck like that, pushes me back like so hard. I go up off my feet onto the top of the stove. And so I was able to slide down off, get back on my feet. And I was like, what the you doing? And he looked me dead in my eyes, Bubba, and just without no hesitation, he said, I'm gonna kill you. And I told him, I said, dude, if you don't get the fuck off me, I'm gonna shoot you. He's steady trying to push me back. I'm trying to go forward. And I knew right there that was my only shot to get out of this. So I took out the gun and I fired. He drops immediately.
Welcome to the Bubba the Love Sponge podcast. I've seen this guy on several different podcasts. I've seen him on Danny Jones. I've seen him on Matt Cox. I saw him on Ian. Is it Beck?
Bick, yep.
Bick. You would have never thought that guy would have been in prison, that Ian Bick guy.
No.
Right? I watched some of his stuff, and I'm fascinated by some of the shit that he went through.
Oh, yeah.
You did a great job on his podcast.
Thank you.
I reached out. Matt Cox gave me Wade his information. I went to dinner with Matt Cox a few weeks ago, and I was like, Matt, tell me some good guests that I could potentially get. And he goes, I'm going to give you some guests that I had a really good time with that got really compelling stories, and you're not wasting your time because the story is so riveting. And that's Wade's situation here. Wade Williamson goes by Chip. Do you go by Chip?
Yeah.
I mean, would you prefer Chip or Wade?
Well, Chip's fine. Chip was what I was known through all school, all through like elementary school, and then when I got into the workforce.
Would you get Chip at elementary school?
Yeah, it was in elementary school, and then it got to be Wade in business.
How did you get Chip?
I think it was just the Chip off the old block thing. I wasn't a fan of the name Wade when I was little, so Chip was fine with me.
Probably growing up, Chip's cooler than Wade.
Yeah. And then now, when I started my own podcast and transitioned to it, I got a nickname in high school called Hollywood, and I actually have it tattooed on my arm right there.
Oh, yeah, and that's a pretty good tattoo.
And so now a lot of people call me that. So it's like I get
Hollywood.
called different names everywhere. I get called Hollywood, Wade, Chip. It just depends on the setting.
Tell me a little bit about, like, when you were growing up, like, you grew up in Florence.
Well, I actually grew up in Darlington, the neighboring town, 10 minutes away. Florence was the neighboring town where you had to go to do anything. One of my first jobs over there was in radio. I was a board operator over there at WJMX in Florence.
Yeah.
One of my first jobs. And
you and I were talking a little bit about how people outside of radio, and you'd watch my Matt Cox deal, how they don't understand, and the analogy that you used was perfect. Other than the mob, being popular on the radio and being the guy, like the morning guy or the afternoon guy, is probably the closest thing to the mafia you can get legally.
Yeah, especially with all the perks. I mean, like we were talking about, you didn't pay for food. There was guys up there that was getting their houses furnished, their cars furnished, their apartments
furnished. Money,
furnished.
chicks. It's kind of like the Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free.
Yeah, those were the social media influencers before social media existed. Those were the influencers.
And so radio was social media.
100%.
Radio was a popular FM station in a small town was that town's social media.
100%.
If you needed to know what band was coming to town, what strip club is cool, what nightclub is cool, where people are hanging out, you had to listen to the cool radio station in town. Mm-hmm. And so those radio guys became gods, at that point. And you experienced a little bit of that working at what radio station?
WJMX 103.3.
What was their form? What rock? Or
it was a little bit of everything, like a little rap, a little rock.
Oh, that's the best kind too.
Yeah. Well, they had 5 stations in that whole building. They had that one. They had Sunny 105.5, which is the oldies. They had Eagle 92.9, which was like your country station. And I think they had a AM station or FM station that played it was a religious station for a while, and it played all the Clemson and Carolina games on that one. So
but you were on the one that played the hits.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to be, because that's where the bitches are.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be on you can't be on the oldie station because you got grandma.
Yeah.
You can't be you could be on the country station, but country wasn't as cool back then as it is now.
Right.
Remember, there was an era where country was kind of like just, fucking good old boy, Willie Nelson and shit like that.
It was dead in the water.
Now, country's where some of the hottest bitches are. I mean, you go to a Jason Aldean or you go to a country concert, you see some hot bitches.
Morgan Wallen. I mean,
yeah. So you're growing up in Darlington, working in Florence, kind of fast forward to you probably being like what, like just out of college or just out of high school?
Yeah, I went to welding in high school, and then I done a Florence Darling Technical College. Went to a year course welding there, and that was kind of where my path was leading me. I've always worked in the blue collar setting, welding, fitting, things of that nature. And I got a job offer at a place there, and we're going out, and it was perfect for me. It was working 410s at night. So when I got off Thursday night at 1 in the morning, I could party all the way until Monday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
410s are cool.
It was perfect for me. It was the best job. And
at night.
Yeah, at night. Yeah. So we're going out to this club. Welding. Yep.
Now, fabrication welding or on the job site welding?
Fabrication welding. So it was actually the company that built the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
We built the actual structure, and then it went somewhere else, and it got outfitted with all the internal guts and stuff like that.
So
but we built the structures.
Like the chassis builder.
Yep.
The chassis welders of all cat stuff.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. It was a company called Crenlo. And so we're going along. I'm making some money.
Probably making pretty damn good money.
Making pretty decent money for the start. I mean, it was good then. It's not so good now when I look back at it. But the times change.
18, 19, 20.
Exactly. It was good money. I was able to finance the lifestyle that I was living at the time, which consisted of working and partying and drinking and going out and doing my thing. And there was this club there that had burned down and then reopened. And when it reopened, it was just where everybody went. It was called Murphy's. And it was right there on Highway 52. And, man, we were in there every weekend, just partying. One night I'm in there and I lock eyes with this blonde, never seen her before, beautiful girl. I'm just like, who the hell is that? Because I was in there all the time. I knew everybody, or at least would know their faces. And I'd never seen it before. Well, she was talking to a girl that I went to school with. So as soon as they separated, I went over to that girl and I said, who the hell was that?
So you went over to
your
friend?
Yeah, my friend.
To get to 411?
Yeah, to get the info.
What the fuck's going on here? What the hell's going on here?
I said, who was that? She's like, oh, that's my friend. You know, I met her out here last week. I was like, you got to introduce me. So we go over there and we talked a little bit. We chatted it up. Nothing too crazy. We exchanged numbers. And, it was a while before we see each other again. Like 2 months later, it was coming up on the New Year's party, hit her up on the phone, and she's like, yeah, I'm coming. And I was like, all right, cool. And so that we talked a lot more that night, and then that began our relationship. At Murphy's. Yep, of course.
Murphy's still there?
It's not.
No.
I went by to Florence the last time I was home. It's like some sort of business now.
Right.
And it's sad, man. The memories I had in that place, it's insane.
The money you spent at Murphy's, brother.
Could have been riding a Maserati or something right now, probably.
So you and old girl, New Year's Eve, Murphy's, and now is this the woman that ends up being your wife?
Yes.
Okay. So and what's her first name?
Her name's Felicia.
Felicia. So you meet Felicia through a friend. You guys exchange phone numbers, go a couple months. You and Felicia now meeting for New Year's Eve at Murphy's.
Yep.
Perfect scenario.
Yep. And we just started rocking and rolling, man. We would party together on the weekends. We both had strong work ethics, right? So Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, in my case, we were straight laced. Yeah. We'd done our job. But on the weekends, we done our thing, man.
Sure.
We cut loose. We lived life. We had a great time. We had a great friend group. And, it was the best of times. And she didn't come in and try to pull me away from anybody. She come in and joined the fun,
so
which made
unlike
it better.
A lot of chicks who be like, listen, Wade, I don't like your friend Chris.
Yep.
I don't like your friend Bubba. I don't like that bitch you've been hanging out with, which a lot of women are like this.
They are.
Old girl Florence she's like, listen, I can hang out with Bubba. I can hang out with Matt.
Right.
I'm cool. Like that automatically for you women out there, that adds like an extra couple points to your score.
Oh, 100%.
Instead of being that bitchy trying to pull us away, being that cool bitch that can hang out with all of us.
Yeah, she woke me up one morning. I had a buddy pass out on the couch, and she said, Jamie threw up in the floor last night? And I was like, well, don't surprise me. And she was like, yeah, I already cleaned it up. And I'm like, what? I was like, you cleaned it up? And she's like, yeah, I didn't want him to do it if he's obviously not feeling good. And I was just like, yeah, you might be a keeper there.
A good country girl
you might be a keeper there.
Yeah.
You're going to get up and do that.
So you guys date for quite a while, right?
Oh, yeah. We got engaged fairly quickly. I would say within the first year we got engaged. I don't remember the date right off the top of my head, so I'm sure I'll hear about that later if she watches this podcast. But we got engaged fairly quickly, but we lived together for a while. And then 2008, we got married. 4th of July wedding.
Right.
Right after we got married, we had a son.
Right.
Now, she had a daughter when we got together who was 3, so I've raised her since she was 3. She's my daughter.
She brought a kid to the deal, but you were good.
Yeah, we were good with that.
The kid probably considers you her dad.
100%.
You know, you took her on.
100%.
Which is you know, that's a lot for a man, and you know, but
I
will tell you this: women appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like if you're a good dude and you don't judge them for that, and you take the role on as a good provider, and that kid doesn't have a damper on your relationship. Women really put a lot. That's a real man right there. You're taking on an instant family.
And it was a while before I even knew she had a kid because we would only hang out on the weekends. We didn't live close. We were like 45 minutes apart, so it wasn't like I was going over there every day. Plus, I was working nights. And so when we finally started getting like really, really serious, where we knew this wasn't just a fling, she's like, "Listen, I need to be straight with you." I was like, where the hell has this kid been at? And we've been on the phone. Like, I've never heard of that. She's like, she's just real quiet.
Right.
But, I mean, she just
down.
wanted to make sure it was something there before she introduced a man into her life.
Well, she did the right thing.
Yeah, she did.
She's
100%.
like, I'm going to make sure this is real.
Correct.
If this is some fly-by-night motherfucker, then I'm not going to introduce him to my kid. But,
correct.
Because that is, for a woman, once you've introduced that guy to your kid, then it's a whole nother level.
100%.
You know, so you got to... Responsible mothers will take that added time to make sure that it's a real deal. This isn't just some fuck for the weekend.
Yeah.
This. I love this guy, and there's a future here.
Yeah. We have
so you got a
son.
3-year-old.
Yep.
You have a son.
Yep.
And now, do you and your son still have a good relationship?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You guys are all still together, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, even amidst this tragedy.
Yeah, amidst the tragedy, we're still together.
The daughter, Felicia, your son, you guys are all one big happy family. Talk about defying the odds as we tell your story. And most people would say, no, man, there's not a chance that family stays together. Right? You know, I mean, you've been through hell.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to put you in prison for the rest of your life.
100%.
And so it's a testament to your family that you guys have stayed together through all this.
Well, I think when tragedy like that happens, you know, your family is what can help you get through it. And in my case, it was, you know, even throughout our family members, her family members, I mean, everybody really bonded together. And I think that's one of the biggest things that helped me, because sometimes when you have stuff like this happen, people don't have that support from their family, or they don't have any family at all in some cases. And that's why some people are wrongfully, you know, incarcerated for years and years and years before something.
So you and Felicia, you're married. You got your son. You got her 3-year-old, which is probably now older.
Yep.
She's probably 6, 7.
Yep.
And just living the life, right? Like, you know, just living the standard America, suburbia, house with a white picket fence, 2 kids. Dad works, mom works. You know, you guys probably cleaned up your partying a little bit, you know, compared to what you were doing. And you're living the life of most suburbia people. Yep. You know, from small town South Carolina.
Yep. Average middle
still
class.
Are you still welding at this point?
Yeah, I'm still welding. And we decided there was a big steel company in the area where I lived at in Darlington called Nucor Steel. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's a pretty big steel company. It's one of them places where, like, if you can get on, you're set. You know,
They got
you
the pension.
You knew the people in town that worked at Nucor. You could tell by their cars.
Yeah. In my hometown, we had a couple big manufacturing plants, and they as soon as you got on, you knew you were going to be there 25 years.
Yeah.
Because they got pensions and 401ks,
profit sharing, all that stuff,
and health insurance.
Yep.
And it's just getting your foot in.
Well, that's the thing. See, Nucor, right? That was the name of the place. Nieces, uncles, cousins, or other relatives is what they said it stood for, because you had to be one of them to get a job out there. That's how tight-knit it was. So I couldn't get on at the one in Darlington, but I got an opportunity to work at the one in Columbia. That's about an hour drive. So I'm driving back and forth, and it's wearing on me. I'm doing it with some other people. We're carpooling, but it's just aggravating driving back and forth to Columbia. And so a lot of people started having luck going to the Charleston plant. And I told her, I was like, look, babe, you know, what do you think about going to Charleston?
How far is Florence from Charleston?
About 2 hours.
2 hours.
Hour 45.
So that would be something you had to move to.
Yeah, oh, definitely. We would have to move. It was going to be an uprooting.
Uproot the family.
But staying close enough where it's not the end of the world if you want to take a trip back home.
Sure, right.
And she was like, you know what? If it works out, then maybe it's meant to be, and we'll make it happen. So I go interview, I get the job, and boom, 2010, we moved to Charleston, South Carolina.
Great town, especially coming from Florence. You got the low country. There's a lot to do.
Yep.
You know, not a bad place to raise a family. There's probably a couple rough areas in Charleston. I was syndicated in there for 10 years, but a good city. Good little southern city.
Yeah, we enjoy it, and it's growing. It's booming, man. From 2010 to now, it's crazy. But we go down there. I'm making more money with this job, and the beautiful part about this, Bubba, is when I moved down there when the market crashed, right after the crash.
Right.
So I moved down there and set myself up for bills on the income that I was making at the time, so I didn't have to figure out how to make it where whatever it was, and everything crashed. So I come in a great position. Everybody else out there at that place was struggling because they were making way more. Now they're making way less.
Right.
I come in.
You came in on
making
the way
more,
less,
even though it's low to everybody else.
Right. You came in on the less gimmick with only upside.
Correct.
And you could make it on the less gimmick.
Correct.
That's what the difference was.
Yep. And I was able to get a house on a short sale because everybody was losing their homes at that time. So I got a great deal on the house. And for a while, everything was going great.
Everything's great.
And her dad gets sick. He had cirrhosis. He was a heavy drinker. Great guy. Never got angry. Never said a foul word. Loved him to death. One of the best human beings I've ever met on this planet. And they were really close. And when he passed away, it really put a damper on her. Like it just, I won't say it changed her totally, but it definitely changed. Like it took a piece of her when he died. And so I would say that was like the start of, we weren't going out and doing as much. And it just what was starting to put some cracks in the foundation. Well, then I have a really bad car wreck. We go to Myrtle Beach. They have Carolina Country Music Fest up there.
You and Felicia, or the whole family?
No, just me and Felicia.
Right.
We go with some other friends of ours.
Just like a concert night out deal.
Well, it's actually 3 days of concerts.
Oh, so
it's
music,
like a Woodstock.
like a music festival.
Yeah, music festival. It was the first year they ever had it. We go there. I leave work, go straight there. And I think on the Sunday, I had a buddy of mine who was a medic, gave me an IV because I had been drinking so much.
Right.
He gave me an IV, brought me back to life. And so we come back, and the next day I got to get up.
Hold on, Wade. You know you're partying your ass off, bro, when you got to go IV, my man.
That's right.
Motherfucker, crazy IV.
We got it in. He was just like, man, you look terrible. He said, you want an IV?
Let me
I was
run
like,
you
you
an
got
IV?
one? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, bring it on in there.
Yeah,
There's a picture of me, like, with the IV hooked up, and I still got a beer in my hand drinking while he's giving me the IV.
Yeah.
And I got to go to work the next day when we get back. I haven't even been home since we left, right? So I'm getting stuff straight around the house. I got to go to work the next morning. I'm heading to work. I leave at like 4:30 in the morning, and I just fell asleep. I turned at the red light. I'm going. I just nod off.
Dozed off.
You hear that noise. Brrr, you wake up. Oh, shit. It's dark. Boom. I don't know what I hit, but I hit something. Car's airborne. Boom, 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 boom. Flip after flip after flip. I land upside down on another car. I thought the car was on the road, so my first thought is, that's the only thing I seen visually through the windshield was another car. I thought I killed somebody. Well, as I'm trying to get out of the car, because I did have my seatbelt on.
You didn't?
I did.
That
was the only thing that saved me. Probably why we're having this conversation. I'm hanging upside down, and I'm trying to wiggle my way out because I don't want to undo the seatbelt and fall on my head. The car rolls off from the top of the car onto the passenger side. So now I'm hanging like this.
Yeah, now you're...
And I get out, I climb out, and the car's smoking, the wheel is gone. I see the other car is just smashed. I'm in somebody's yard, thank goodness. I flipped off the road, and I'm in somebody's yard now. A car comes riding by. He rolls down the window. He's like, man, you all right? I said, I think so. And he's like, you want me to call the law? I was like, yeah, just go ahead and call him. And he's like, I ain't got to stay, do it. And I'm like, nah, you ain't got to stay. Just call him.
He's
probably drinking too.
He had some paper.
Yeah, he had something on him. He didn't want to hang around. Might have warrants.
Yeah, he had paper.
So I hopped down.
But he did you a solid.
He did.
He called the law.
He did. He
called
the law.
And you knew at that point probably you can call the law because you weren't fucked up.
Yeah, I was straight.
You knew you weren't riding dirty.
Right.
At this point you needed help. Otherwise, you wouldn't have called the law.
Right. And it was just more or less of like I wanted to make sure I was good.
There was another vehicle involved.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. There wasn't. You can't sweep this under the rug.
No.
You can't make this go away. And
this wasn't a little fender bender.
No,
this was a full blown.
It destroyed my
Right.
car. Like there wasn't a body part of my car that wasn't dented, smashed. It tore the whole front off. Bent in the roof. I mean, it destroyed it. Matter of fact, when we went later to look at the car, the guy thought I was dead because he was like, "Who's the driver? Or how's the driver?" And I said, "You're looking at him." He said, "There's no way." He said, "I figured you'd have been dead." And so when
Now, what year is this, Wade?
This is 2015.
This is 2015.
Yep, 2015.
Okay. All right, because you got married in 08, and so now we're 15.
Yep, moved down in 2010, 15 had this bad car wreck.
15 bad car wreck. And things at that point, you said earlier, even though the music festival went well, starting to, you and Felicia starting to have some cracks.
Yep.
Starting, time's kind of setting in a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.
And
because people need to realize that's kind of important where we're going here.
Yeah. So now where the wreck happens, I don't lose the job that I have, but I've got to be out for so long because I tore a bicep tendon. It messed my back up, my L4, L5. It messed me up some to where I had to miss work. So I lost a position I had within the company. I didn't lose my job, just a position.
The ranking.
So when I go back, the ranking. When I go back, I got to take a different job. It's not as much money. At that point, because I've been out for a while, I felt like I was kind of pigeonholed in there. So it just starts messing with you. You're not making as much money. You're not happy in your job. And little by little, we just start arguing over different things. And
now, what did Felicia do for a living at that time?
She worked for the school districts in the area. She was a guidance counselor.
Okay, that's a good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great. She's great at her job.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. She's doing that, and we just started arguing, man, over everything. And some of it was probably my fault. I was irritable. I was in bad moods. When you feel like you're supposed to be the breadwinner and the provider, and you're not bringing in as much, and then you feel like you're not really appreciated or you're giving your worth at your job, those kind of things can affect a man.
Hey, as a man, people don't realize, man, when we have climbed the top of the mountain and we're doing well, and we get our dick kicked in the dirt and we're back down a few cogs, that fucks with us.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the breadwinner, the king of the castle, and when we think that we're not doing that and not providing for our family, and we are at one time we're in a better spot than we are now, that fucks with us.
100%.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said that better. It's
Right.
100%. And so what really kind of set this thing off where our separation went in was we were with a couple one night. Friday nights, a lot of us in the neighborhood would get together and hang out at this Mexican restaurant. So we do that like normal. One of the other couples that my wife and I knew, we had hung out at the pool and stuff. You could tell they were off a little bit. One was at one end of the bar, one was at the other.
So they were arguing too a little bit.
Little tiff. And later on that night, we go back to one of them's house. Now, I don't go to the same place my wife goes. She goes to another friend of hers who called her over there. I said, hey, I'm going to go over here. So she calls me and she's like, hey, why don't you come over here where I'm at? And I'm like, all right, I'll be over there in a minute. So I leave where I'm at. That's where the couple is. I tell everybody bye and all that. I go to their house. Now, the house we're at coincidentally winds up being a key factor later in the story. We're over there, and we're probably over there 15, 20 minutes, and you start hearing these screams. And you knew that it wasn't kids playing or nothing. It was something wrong. So me and the guy, we go out. His name's Jamie, and we start running down to the entrance of the neighborhood, and we can tell whatever's going on is going on down there. Well, that's the house where the couple that was fighting lived at. So I see this woman rolling around on the ground. I go immediately to the woman to try to see what's wrong, not realizing it's the woman that I knew. She's now out of her regular clothes. She's in bed clothes, and she's just screaming, he did it, he killed himself. And I'm like, who? And she said, Chris.
The couple you were just with.
Couple I was just with not a half hour before. And so my buddy went straight on in the house. He didn't even go to the girl, whatever. He went straight on in the house. And so I go in the house, and when I cut through and go to turn into the kitchen, he's already up there by the guy's head trying to do what he can to help him. But it was the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life. He chose to take his own life.
Man, I've never seen one, but I've been told that you can't prepare for what
You can't.
Especially a gunshot gimmick,
Yep. It is the worst thing I've ever seen.
You'll never forget
in my life. Hands. It's worse than the story we're going to get into later.
Right,
much worse.
Right.
Because of just the after effects. I don't want to get too graphic. I don't want to get demonetized. But the effects that it has when you a self-inflicted wound like that. It's awful.
You got. And I'm just going to use a vague word. You got all this stuff that's against the wall.
Yes.
And you got, it's bad.
Yeah. It was like.
It's like dropping a watermelon off the second balcony.
Yeah. Just the overflow of the red stuff. It was like somebody turned on a water faucet. Mm-hmm. It was awful.
Like the Charlie Kirk stuff.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Similar to that.
Did you see that video?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was like, when I first saw that, Wade, I was like, this is AI. This is I've never seen, you know.
That's a very good comparison to what it was like.
What you saw.
But on the surface now, I will say this, Bubba, this guy seemed to have everything you would want. He had a wife, he had a son, he had a daughter, he had a golf cart, a Harley, a boat, a Mercedes, good job, off on Fridays, all the stuff you would think a middle-aged man at his time would want. But under the surface and behind closed doors, what was come out later, they had a lot of problems. Apparently, he was usually, I guess before I met him, he was a bigger guy, a much bigger guy. He lost a lot of weight, and so his idea to kind of solve the sagging skin problem was to take steroids and buff up. And once he was trying to come off the steroids, you have to wean yourself off of that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't just stop.
Roid rage. It's real.
And so that's some of the things that ultimately led him to do that. But like where I was at mentally, I was like, is that what it comes to? Do you argue with your significant other so bad that that's your answer? Because if that's what it is, I don't want to do that. And so 100% on me, made the decision, we're going to end this. We're going to go our separate ways.
You and Felicia.
My wife did not want to do it. She was not on board with that plan, but I just felt it was the best for me and everybody else.
And seeing this situation was probably the triggering,
yes,
or the data that you needed to see to predict potentially. Here's a good man who's got everything and has now, killed himself.
Yep.
So, and it started. The common denominator was they were miserable. You guys were fighting and not doing so swell.
Yep.
So you kind of, for lack of a better term, manned up and said, I want to be proactive on this and not end up like old boy here.
You're correct.
So Felicia doesn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Does she fight you on it? Is she like, Chip, come on?
We tried marriage counseling for a little while. As a matter of fact, and I don't think I've ever told this story on a podcast, but I'll share it on this. So we were apart. Right. And the company that I work for would pay for you to go to marriage counseling. But if you canceled 3 times, they wouldn't pay for it anymore. So the first one, she wanted to go. I didn't show up. Second one, I went. She didn't show up. But I called her and I'm like, look, they're going to do a third one. If we cancel on that, they're not going to do any more. If you want to go, great. We'll go. If not, it is what it is. So I go. We go in together.
You guys finally go to the third one.
We go to the third one. And this is before this happened, so I'm backtracking just a smidge, but it's a great story. We go in there, and we're starting to go back and forth. We're almost fighting and arguing in the room with the lady. And that lady, she's writing. She's finally, I think I've seen smoke coming from her paper at one point in time. She's writing so fast. Finally, she just throws the damn paper down, and she looks at both of us, and she goes, I just don't know if there's any hope for you guys. And I kind of look at my wife, and she looks at me, and we're like, all right.
And it really kind of hits home when a third party says that shit, right, bud?
It does.
It just really puts a whole different angle on it.
Well, we go to the front, right? And the lady's like, and she's a sweet older lady. She's like, shall I schedule your next appointment? I'm like, well, not according to your fucking therapist in there. We're not going to make it. And we both cracked up, and it actually got us back talking for a period of time.
Right.
And we still laugh about that, to this day.
Sure.
But all in all, we did wind up, splitting up. And the deal I made with her was I said, look, I'll move out. You can stay here with the kids. That way we don't upset the kids. And I'll still pay the bills for the house. But if you start seeing somebody, I'm not too cool with having another
Johnny
dude.
Sugar Daddy here.
Yeah, I'm not too cool with another guy laying up on my couch watching ESPN.
While I'm paying for the fucking place.
Yeah, while I'm paying for it.
And it's tough too when you got kids involved.
It is.
You get another guy up in the cut.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it's just not the coolest for your kids.
Yeah, it can get hairy.
Those are your kids.
But I mean, look, my wife's an attractive woman. Like I said earlier, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. I knew if she got back on the market, she wasn't going to be on the market long. I knew that. We're set on like the agreements and everything we're going to do. And I just told her, I was like, if you start seeing somebody, just let me know. That's all I ask. Other than that, I'm not trying to pry in your business. But if it gets to that point, let me know. And so this is July, August of 2017. We make the split. She tells me she meets somebody October 31st of 2017.
Halloween.
I moved. We actually, our last night in the house, I went to the house. We walked around the neighborhood with my son, who was 7, I think, at the time. He's doing his trick-or-treating, and the U-Haul was literally in the front yard the next morning. Now, what she did...
Your U-Haul?
No, hers, because now I'm moving back home because she's met this guy.
Oh, okay.
So she's moving out. She moved to a house in the area. So like we stay in a big subdivision called Cane Bay Plantation, right? But there's like 9 different subdivisions within that one development. So she's at like 2 developments back from where I'm at. She's doing her thing. I'm doing mine. Divorce proceedings are in row. We know what we're doing. We've already agreed to most everything. We're not exactly talking, but we're not fighting, tooth and nail either. She was very fair in the whole thing of what we were going to do. And so it's speed rolling along, and we didn't really talk too much. I mean, I'm doing my thing. She's doing hers.
But you did start the divorce.
We did, yeah. We had actually went to a divorce meet. We went to a couple of meetings in court. Like it was, matter of fact, we went to court supposed to finalize this in like February or March. Somehow or another they screwed up. We went 1 day earlier than we were supposed to be. They couldn't do it, so they had to reschedule it. When they rescheduled it for us to go get finally divorced, before that date was when the shooting happened.
Right.
So we never actually got to go get divorced.
Which was maybe prophetic in itself.
Yes,
right?
100%. Now that you put that together. But, we didn't really talk much. And then come December, it's Christmas time, right? First time we'd ever been separated.
For Christmas.
So we do talk and try to start figuring out how we want to do this with the kids. What's the best way, make it all comfortable and run smooth. And so
now,
with
is
that,
she, at this point, Wade, is she seeing that other feller?
Yeah, they're still together.
And you know about it?
Yeah, I do know about it.
Okay.
I don't know him. He's not even from the area.
So in the meantime, just to get everybody up to speed, as Hollywood gets back into his house, Felicia moves out.
Yep.
She had met a new dude who she's, I'm assuming, living with.
Yes.
The kids are involved, probably having to interact with him too.
Yep.
And now you guys are figuring out Christmas.
Yep.
And do I get him on Christmas night? You get him on Christmas morning? Like, how's that going to go? That's what you guys are figuring out now.
Yep.
Just so I'm with you on the timeline.
Yeah. So we do that. We're trying to figure out how we're going to go.
Now, you never met this dude, right?
No, I never met him. He wasn't even from our area. I can tell you all this now. I didn't know it then. He was a former veteran. He was kicked out of the Army. He had a bout with PTSD. He was actually in like a psych center in Alabama. When he left Alabama, he moved to Charleston. And lo and behold, somehow or another, he met my wife. But of course, she didn't know all that.
Right.
I know all that now after the fact, but she didn't know all that when she met him. Right. He, of course, schmoozed her with, he's this decorated veteran and, was honorably discharged.
Well, he's trying his best because he got old girl who's hot as fuck over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So he's laying it on thick.
Right.
But I didn't know the guy, never met the guy, never talked to him, never communicated with him. Didn't need to, really. It wasn't, wasn't on my thing. So the agreement we made was we go up for Christmas. He didn't come up there, but I came and we hung out with her family at Christmas, and you could just tell there was still some embers in the fire, so to speak. And I'm like, well, how are things? And she's like, well, it's always good in the beginning. And she asked me how things are with mine. I said, it's a different one every week. And I'm ribbing her a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't get into that. Is Hollywood killing it at this point?
He's out there doing his thing, man.
Hollywood's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, as much as she's you're a good-looking dude, and you're out there, you got a good job.
They knew me in the strip clubs, and
right.
It was part. I remember one night we all went to Columbia, me and some friends, and we went to Platinum Plus. There was a big strip club up there, and we seen Luke Combs up there.
Yeah,
and we paid $20 to see Luke Combs. I said, you can't pay that to park at a Luke Combs concert.
You can't pay that for a beer.
But I mean, it was a blast. I was living it up. And because at that point in time, too, what made it even better for me was I had that shoulder surgery I was telling you about, and I had an insurance policy that paid me if I was out of work.
Like an Aflac deal?
Like an Aflac deal, because in Nucor, it was a production-based pay. My base pay was like $13 an hour. But with the money you make for the production, it was, 40 to above.
Right.
But if you go out, you're paid on your base pay,
right?
Which is shit.
Right.
So you have the secondary insurance policy that kicked in. I was making more out of work than I was what I'd have been at work, and I didn't have to do shit.
Right.
So that was just more of a fuel to the fire. So I was partying hard at that point in time.
And probably one of the reasons why maybe you guys reconnected after Christmas or whatever, but when you guys are at Christmas and she's saying, things aren't as good as in the beginning, You weren't saying that. You're like, man, I'm fucking rolling. Right? But I mean, and so she probably got a little, territorial. She wanted you to be like, oh, I miss you, and I'm not really going out much, But that's not what Chip was doing.
Yeah, well, I did in the beginning. I did in the beginning.
Yeah. Then you get your confidence back.
Yeah, you got to start getting out.
Yeah.
And doing
and then
whatever
once you
can.
go out that one time, and you get a little success, and that breeds,
right.
having more fun.
But like I say, you could tell that there was still a little something there because we talked. We didn't do anything, jump back in anything or whatever. It was just the first time we had really had a conversation without it being something legality wise or kids wise or something like that. It was just
you and her. It was you and her talking, old school.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah.
And so we still, like I said, didn't jump back into anything. January goes by, February goes by. They don't break up necessarily, but he moves out of her house. He's living in some VA housing because, like I said, he was a VA vet. And at that point, I'm like, well, they really must be going bad. And so we start talking a little bit more. And I've not completely broke it off with the girl I was seeing. She's not completely broke it off with him because we didn't know if we were going to start this up again.
And you guys weren't divorced.
Correct. We weren't divorced. So the agreement we made is I was like, look, if we're going to give this another shot, let's go ahead. We'll finalize the divorce. We'll get it done, and then we'll restart. We'll date. We'll blank pages, blank slate, clean slate.
But get divorced.
Yeah, get divorced. And the reason being, if it works out, we can go to the courthouse, get married for $50.
Right.
If it doesn't, then we're free to go on about our business and do whatever we need to do. We don't have to start this whole process all over again.
Right.
So that was the agreement. That's what we were going to do. So she goes to tell him what's going on. I tell the girl what's going on with me. The girl could care less. She's throwing deuces. If it don't work out, holler at me. She's out of there.
Right.
Him, he had a little problem with it. And so he got a little upset. He leaves. He's like throwing some stuff around the house. He leaves, and she calls me and she tells me, she's like, well, he didn't take it very good. And I'm like, well, who would, I mean, it's not an easy thing to know you're getting a boot. And she actually comes to the house. We kind of talk about what's going on. And she was like, well, I don't want him to go back to that house if I'm not there and start destroying that house because we're renting it. And then I'm going to be on the hook for it because it's in my name. And I said, well, I get that.
And he got the kids.
Yep, the kids was there. So my daughter was working. She goes back to the house. I don't hear much from her. We're texting a little bit, here and there. And then I'm at a friend's house in the neighborhood. And then the guy who, remember I told you he was with me when we went into the house where the guy unalived himself. He calls me and he's like, hey, are you home? And I said, no, I'm not home. And he's like, well, if you ride by my house and you see Liam's car here, he's like, don't stop. Liam is the guy that she was with. And I was like, all right, well, what's going on?
So he said, so your boy, who was there for that suicide gimmick, who had remained your guy, your guy, kind of had your back.
Yep.
So he says, what does he say again?
He says, if you ride by my house, because me and him are like 8 houses apart.
Right.
He said, if you ride by my house and you see Liam's car here, like, don't stop. I don't want any drama going on at my house. And I'm like, well, what drama? What do you give me something here. You're only giving me pieces of information. And he said, I don't know what's going on, but he's really upset about something. Well, I know why he's upset because I know the news he got. And I'm like, well, I can probably guess why he's upset, but, don't worry, I'm not going to stop. Well, what I didn't know, the full extent of it, was when he come back to the house where my wife was, they started arguing again. He wants to confront me. So he makes her ride around and look for me. They ride by my house. I'm not there because I'm gone. They ride by his house. He comes up to the window and he was like, he don't know all this is going on. He's like, hey, guys, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm looking for Chip because when I find him, I'm going to fucking kill him.
He tells your boy
He tells my boy that.
Okay. So he tells your boy, if I see Chip, I'm going to kill him.
Yep.
And says that in front of Felicia.
Yep. She's driving. She's in the car. And he told me after the fact, he said, I could see that she was visibly upset. And so after he tells him that, he convinces him to come back to his house to talk. So that's why he tells me, if you see the car here, don't stop.
So try to, your boy, who's really your guy.
Yep.
What's his first name?
Jamie.
So Jamie, who's really your boy.
Yep.
He has Liam come back to his place.
Yep.
So he can maybe talk Liam off the cliff a little bit by saying, listen, we don't need to fucking kill nobody here. Let's just burn a time out. Nobody's shooting anybody. I know you're bummed. So Jamie's kind of got your back.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right. But he tells you, Jamie calls you and tells you, if you see Liam's truck here,
this is why.
Keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Team Hollywood for sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And he's right, because you don't want to roll up on that.
Correct. And so I never communicated with my wife with this, because after he called me, I don't know if I want to call her, if she's still with him. I'm still not sure what's going on. Well, she eventually calls me from my daughter's phone. And she was like, hey, I can't call you from my phone. He wound up breaking my phone. She said, but he's at Jamie's. Jamie's going to keep him over there.
Now, where's she?
We're
at
all
home?
good. She's home now.
But
she's like, we're all good.
Liam's at Jamie's.
She's
at home
with the kids.
With
both
the kids
now. My daughter's home from her job.
Called on your daughter's phone. And what's Felicia saying with regards to coming over, or like, is she afraid?
I don't think she was okay then, because I think she thought the threat was gone, that he was at Jamie's and everything was going to be good. So we talk a little bit. I go back to my house. Now it's 1 a.m. I'm in bed watching a UFC fight, and then I get a text, and it's Liam texting me. And he says, hey, this is Liam. Are you up? And I text back. I said, yeah, I'm up. He said, listen, man, we need to talk. And he didn't say, where the fuck you at? Nothing like that. He said, we need to talk. And I was like, all right. And he said, look, I got some questions. He's like, man to man, no drama, no BS. And he said, if you're comfortable with it, we can meet at your boy's house. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now,
Well, that's cool, because you got Jamie there.
Exactly. And that's the only reason why I would have did that. Because a big thing to focus in on here, about 2 or 3 days prior to this, I had a surgery on my back to where they burn the nerve endings off the spine. Yeah. They go in, they burn the nerve. You're very sore for a couple of days after that. But then after that, it alleviates the pain for 6-8 months. They reattach, and then you do the whole process over again. So I'm a couple of days out of this
You're
thing.
a little gimped up. You're thinking, if I got to go hand to hand here,
I can't do it.
I'm not feeling so. I mean, I might get my ass whipped here.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
And so, again, we covered. I'm in the South. I've owned shotguns since I was 18.
Yeah,
I've owned handguns since I was 21. I was a licensed CWP holder.
Me too.
I was a licensed to carry a gun.
I'm a big Second Amendment guy.
And me too.
Yeah.
And so when you leave out of your house, you got keys, wallet, phone, gun. That's just part of the outfit when you go. So when I leave, I grab my gun, I put it on my hip, and I go out the door. Now, we said his house is like 8 houses down from mine. I probably could have walked, but it was still a little chilly at the time, so I drove my car.
Bitches, I ain't walking 8 houses. I'm driving.
Yeah. Now, before this, to kind of explain why his vehicle isn't there, what took place was Liam told Jamie that he was going to go back to his apartment, the VA housing that he had. And so Jamie agreed to let him go. Guess where he went? Back to my wife's house. So they start arguing again. She calls Jamie and is like, hey, what the hell? I thought you were supposed to be keeping him. He's back here causing shit. So Jamie goes over there. And Jamie confronts him. He's like, what the hell? You said you was going to the VA housing. And he was like, I want to talk to Chip. He's like, if we can do that, I'll be fine. And so he's like, well, text him. He's like, I'll give you his number. That's how he got my number. And he was like, if he's going to meet you, then you ride with me. That way I know you don't come back over here. So he didn't have his car. He's like, you ride with me.
Jamie's a pretty stand-up dude.
He is. He's
That's
very
your boy.
I'm still good friends with him to this day.
I don't know how this ends, but so far I got Jamie scored as a pretty good dude.
Oh, yeah, he's up there.
Okay.
So we go back to the house, and, we all meet up. And the first thing, and I actually called my wife on the way over there, and I was like, hey, this is where, I called my daughter's phone, and I'm like, hey, that he wants to meet. We're going to talk. I'm just letting you know this is where I'm going. And she's like, well, yeah, they just left here. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll let you know how it goes.
Is he a big dude?
He's a big motherfucker. He's big.
You're a regular sized dude, maybe a little bit bigger, but like this guy's big.
He's 6'2", 250. He's on roids. He's a former vet. I mean, he's jacked. He shot roids that night, as a matter of fact. We'll get into, but he's up there.
6'2", 250 is a handful.
He's not nobody you want to tangle with.
Right.
He's not quite Hulk Hogan, but he's up under there.
And ex-military.
Yep.
Little screw loose.
Yeah, little screw loose.
Not all military like that, but in this particular situation, he's been having some problems.
Yep.
So that ain't a boy you want to be fucking with.
No, and I knew that, right? I'm very smart at reading people, reading the situation, reading the room. I'm not going to come in there, even though I got Jamie with me. I'm not going to come in there and antagonize this guy. He just got the news he's getting the boot. He's a little upset. I would be too if I was in his shoes, but at the same time, I'm smart enough to know if I'm the rebound guy, this is possible. Right? Yeah, everybody's been the rebound guy.
We've all been there.
You have the fun and then you move on.
It sucks too, because sometimes when you're the rebound guy, you're like, man, that ass is so good.
And you gotta let it go.
Fuck. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even shed a tear or something, you know?
That's what he wanted to know. He was like, well, how long y'all been talking and yada, yada. And I told him, I said, look, dude, at the end of the day, I don't owe you an explanation for shit. That's still my wife.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what y'all been going on.
You say that.
Yeah, I say that.
So while you guys are talking, you're like, listen, motherfucker, we're still married.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't owe you a bunch of fucking.
Yeah. But I did tell him, I'm like, I don't owe you nothing. I said, but I will tell you, this just started. Like, we just started talking a few months ago, which wasn't a total lie, maybe a little bit before that.
Whatever. I
said, but, you know, we're going to get our family back together, bro. Like, you can't fault her or me for that to try to keep our family together. Like, you know, what are you really doing?
I mean, I've watched, you know, I watched this story several times on different, you know, on Ian and Matt and Danny, and the one common denominator that really gets me rooting for you is the fact that you had the getting back with Felicia had a lot to do with getting your family back. And people don't realize how important, as you get older, people don't realize how important family really is. Yeah. You know, I've you know, been estranged from different parts of my family over the years, and then you get back together and you're like, fuck, you know, the older I get, the more family really means. And so if you can keep your family unit together, which is what you were doing as a man, you know, that's very admirable. So, you know, that to me, that adds a lot of legitimacy to the story.
Yeah, 100%.
Is a man fundamentally trying to keep his family together.
And people always say, oh, well, she was with another guy. How could you take her back? And I'm like, look, we were basically split up. Like, she didn't cheat.
That's just a bunch of jealous motherfuckers.
I was like, she didn't cheat. Like, I mean, I was doing my thing. She was doing hers. We were essentially split up. We weren't divorced. We were split up. It's not like she, you know, I caught her cheating and that's what spawned all this. It was totally
like you
different.
walked in the room and caught her with the UPS guy.
Exactly. It's nothing like that. You know, she basically had my blessing to do whatever, and I had hers. We were doing our own thing.
So you guys are in Jamie's house.
Yep.
And Liam's there, and Jamie's there. Felicia's there.
No, Felicia didn't come. She's still at her home.
Oh, okay.
In the back part of the neighborhood.
So it's you, Jamie, and Liam.
Yep.
At Jamie's house.
At Jamie's house.
And Liam doesn't have a vehicle because Jamie picked him up.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're there.
And you and Liam kind of start kind of jawing around a little bit here.
Yep.
Okay. That's once you were at.
It didn't rise up too much after that. Like, once I said the zinger of like, look, we're just trying to keep our family together, bro. It was like, he couldn't really come back to that. And at that point, he started talking about his ex-wife and his kids. And I'm just like, you know, maybe you can go do the same thing. Get back with, you know, who knows? And it under very weird circumstances, but it just at that point came 3 dudes hanging out in the garage. That's what it became. They were talking about their military background. My buddy was in the Coast Guard. He was in the Army. I never served in the military, so I didn't have anything to offer in that regard. But it really just became 3 dudes hanging out in the garage.
Bullshitting in the garage. Things like kind of de-escalated.
Yeah, very much. It was like it peaked and then straight down.
Now, are you feeling better about it at this situation?
Yeah, very,
you know, you're
very.
like, okay.
Because we're not even talking about that anymore. We're talking about
now
other
they're talking
stuff.
about military shit.
Yeah, it's completely went different from the way it was supposed to go. So now it's closing in on like 3:30-ish, and Jamie's tired.
Morning?
Yeah, because we didn't meet till after 1.
Right.
And so now it's 3:30-ish in the morning, possibly later. And Jamie's like, look, man, I'm calling it a night. And he looks at Liam and he said, are you going to stay here? And Liam was like, I don't know. He's like, I might just have Chip run me home. And so Jamie looks over at me and he was like, you good with that? And I was like, yeah, I'm good with that.
So Liam says, I'm going to have Chip run me home. That's a pretty big leap of faith for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, really.
Yeah.
But you know, okay, I got it.
Given the situation and how much it had de-escalated, I felt comfortable with it, right? So he shuts the garage, we get in the car, and we're sitting in the car, and he goes, you know, he said, if I go home, he's like, we're just going to start arguing again. And I'm like, I lived with the woman for, 15 years before me and you, or before you and her met. I was like, I know exactly how she is. We're almost breaking each other's balls about her at that point.
Right.
And he was like, look, man, do you care if we just go to your house and hang out? And so I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, maybe we'll just hang out outside. I don't know about going in the house.
Right.
But
damn, Hollywood, it's fucking 4 a.m, ain't it?
It is. Well, I was normal for me. That was my lifestyle at that point. I was a vampire.
I mean, like, damn, Leanne, you're killing me here, brother. Fuck.
So we pull up in the driveway, and we start talking. And he's like, do you know why I wear this bracelet? And I'm like, brother, I don't know anything about you other than your name. And we start getting into it a little bit, and he's like, you know, I was in the Army and my buddy got shot, and I tried to do what I could to save him, and the Army said I didn't do everything right, so that's why I got kicked out of the Army. Well, and he starts to cry. In my car, this grown man who's going through this is crying like a baby beside me. So now, like, any reservations I had about anything going off the rails were totally dropped, because when you cry, when one man cries in front of another man, like, that is vulnerability at its finest, right?
Yeah. I mean,
your masculinity is down. You're
laid all your cards on the table. At
exactly.
That point,
Now, what actually happened with that, I didn't find this out till later. He wasn't in combat. He made it seem like he was in combat. He was intelligence. He gave this gentleman bad intel that led him to go into an area which caused him to get shot. And that's why he was kicked out of the Army.
So he carried all that.
So I'm sure it still bothered him 100%.
Yeah.
Your mistake caused a man to lose his life in the line of duty. So I'm sure it still bothered him.
So it wasn't,
the way he spun it to me was they were like together in the jungle.
Right. You know? And he was dragging him out of the jungle, and they were in a foxhole.
Yeah, something along those lines.
It was furthest thing from that.
But, you know, regardless, I'm sure it still messed with him.
Sure, absolutely.
So at that point, I'm just like, fuck, dude, come on in. We'll, you know, have a drink.
You're thinking, fuck, I don't got anything to worry about here. This guy's a hot mess.
Yeah.
He's crying to me. You know, last thing he's going to do is fuck with me.
I'd have let him sleep on my couch that night if he didn't want to.
I'm his borderline therapist right now.
Crazy enough, I was.
You know, we kind of cut on each other about old girl a little bit, and so I'm good.
Yeah,
because you said it best, Hollywood. When a guy cries to you, and especially a guy that you don't really know, you know, it really disarms you in your awareness factor of this could go sideways. You know, you really are kind of eases your soul a little bit that this guy is that vulnerable, and kind of instinctually as a man, you're kind of like, well, maybe I need to help this dude out a little bit.
Exactly. It was like he almost needs somebody to talk to at this point.
Like he needs a fucking friend.
Yeah.
Now you guys are going to go inside your house,
and my house,
which is a different house than where Felicia and the kids are.
Yep.
Came from Jamie's house.
Yep.
At your place, he's cried to you. It's getting late, and your mindset is, hey man, I'll just let this guy sleep on my couch, take him home in the morning. That's probably what you're thinking.
Yeah. That's where we were going with that. We walk in. We did share. I'm a big Red Stag guy. Love Red Stag. We shared a shot of Red Stag together. He asked for a beer. I think I had one Land Shark in the refrigerator. Gave him the beer, and we just talked. We talked about his kids, my kids. He was even telling me, he's like, look, man, he's like, that little boy of yours, he's like, he loves you to death. He said he worships the ground you walk on. I mean, we're talking like sentimental shit back and forth to each other, right? Yeah. We get on the subject of tattoos, and we was talking about one of my son's friend's mother, and he was like, yeah, I heard her talking shit about saying that people who had tattoos were trashy and all that. And I'm like, well, look at me, bro. I'm covered in them. And I pull down this. I show this one on my chest. I don't know if you can see it right here, Bubba, but I got a scar there.
I can see it, yeah.
So it's from open heart surgery that I had in 2001. So when he sees that, he's like, damn, bro, what happened there? And I said, I had open heart surgery, you know, back in the day. And he pulls up my shirt from the bottom to see like the whole zipper scar down there. And he was like, holy shit. Now, when he does this, again, remember I told you earlier, I got the gun on my hip.
Sure.
Now, everybody asks, why you got a gun in your kitchen? Well, let me explain this really quick, because I like to be clear. My house has no bedrooms on the bottom floor. It's a 2-story house. When you walk in, you're in the living room. You got the dining room, the kitchen, an office, which where I do my podcast out of now. All the bedrooms are upstairs. When I take that off, I take it off by the bed. I never went upstairs.
Right.
We stayed downstairs. So I never had a chance to take it off.
Yeah, but like, it's your right to have that gun.
100%.
I mean, like, so anybody that would criticize you for having your side piece with you, one, you legally can carry it.
100%.
Two, you're in your own home. You're the castle doctrine. So it doesn't matter if you're in the backyard, in the kitchen, or upstairs. Anybody that would criticize you for having your sidearm on you doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Well, and they're out there, believe me. I just like to let that know, because it's not
what,
like
are you
you
supposed
go
to
in
go
and
upstairs and put your gun away while you got this guy? I mean,
yeah, exactly. I never went upstairs. So
No.
when he sees that right there and he lifts up that shirt, there's no way he don't see that gun. You can't miss it.
Right.
He's not that obliterated. So he puts the shirt back down and he looks at me dead in the face, and he goes, under different circumstances, he said, you and I would have probably been really good friends. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. So he grabs me and like bear hugs me a little bit, picks me up and puts me down. You've seen people do that when they had a little bit of drink.
Yeah.
They're go,
It's kind of roughhouse.
Yeah, a little bit. Picks me up, sets me down, and he's like, where's your bathroom at? And I point to the bathroom.
So when he picked you up and put you down, it was more of a bro kind of deal.
Yes, very much so.
It wasn't a.
No, he didn't throw me around the room.
No, it wasn't like he was
yeah.
trying to do a suplex on you.
Correct.
It was a bro deal. Okay, but you hadn't talked to Felicia in, 2-3 hours?
It's been a while. When I was going over there, that's the last time I talked to her, when I was going to Jamie's house. So real quick, while he's in the bathroom, I just break out my phone and I text my daughter's phone. And I'm like, hey, haven't checked in a while. Everything's good. And so I'm standing in my kitchen. I got my back to the stove, just waiting on him to come out. He comes down the hallway, and when you come down the hallway and you come into the kitchen, you make like a slight right. Your refrigerator's to your immediate right. You got a little bit of counter space, curves back in. The stove's there. That's where I'm at. A little bit more counter space. Comes back this way. You got your sink. It's a small area. He comes up to me immediately. He doesn't say a word, and boom, hand up under the neck like that, pushes me back like so hard. I go up off my feet onto the top of the stove, like my ass is sitting on the stove. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And so I was able to slide down off, get back on my feet. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he looked me dead in my eyes, Bubba, and just without no hesitation, just as cold as you could say it. And he said, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I told him, I said, dude, if you don't get the fuck off me, I'm going to shoot you. He's steady trying to push me back. I'm trying to go forward. Again, my back is not in the best of shape. He even tries to come up.
And he's on you.
Yeah, he's pushing me back like that. He's trying to push me back into the corner at that point, because when I got back off the ground, you only got maybe another foot or so. Now I'm in the corner, in between the stove and the sink. So I was literally in the corner. So he's doing that. And I told him, if you don't get off me, I'm going to shoot you. And I see he's holding me with his left hand. I see his right hand coming. He's swinging. And right as he gets there, I lift up, and he kind of clips the bottom of the chin. He doesn't hit me side of the face.
Like a glance gimmick?
Like a glance and gimmick blow, yeah. When he does that, his momentum going over, he lets go of that hand and kind of stumbles. So now he's already turning back, heading back to me, and I knew right there that was my only shot, so to speak, to get out of this. So I took out the gun and I fired. It was very loud, quick succession. I thought it was twice. I found out later it was actually 3 times, because it was all just like boom, 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 really quick. He drops immediately. Doesn't say anything, just drops. So, obviously the adrenaline's pumping through the roof. He's dropped. I immediately called 911. It wasn't like, oh, hell, I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. I'm like, a guy attacked me in my kitchen.
There was no covering of the crime scene.
No, I didn't have to do none of that.
Wish you would have had cameras.
Oh, yes, I do. That I do wish. And I was like, a man attacked me in my kitchen, said he was going to kill me. I gave him a warning. He still tried to, assault me. I did what I had to do. So I called 911. In the 911 call, you can hear him in the background making these moaning noises. What I've heard is referred to as the death rattle. Mm-hmm. And she's telling me what to do. She's like, do you know CPR? And I was like, no, ma'am. And she said, well, do you have a towel you can go get that you can put on the wound? So I go to my bathroom, I get a towel. I had to actually search for the bullet wounds, because it's not like you see in the movies or with headshots.
They're teeny tiny.
They're tiny, and it was no blood. I didn't even see blood.
What caliber gun?
It was a 9mm.
Okay.
So and it wasn't hollow points or anything like that. Just regular target rounds, really.
Right. Very common gun.
Very common.
Nothing overly powerful. Just a good defense gun.
Yeah, just a Smith & Wesson 9mm.
Yeah.
I'd been pulled over with that gun before. The numbers ran on it and all that good stuff. That was my carry weapon.
Right.
And so, again, too, that also matched up with times I've been pulled over, and it kind of backed the story as this would be the weapon he would carry. So he drops. I call 911. I'm doing what they say, and she's like, an officer will be there soon. When they get there, make sure the gun is in plain view, unloaded. You walk outside with your hands up. And so I do that. I'm down there with him until the officer gets there. I walk out. He cuffs me, and he says, you're not under arrest. We're just putting you in the car until we can figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So now we're at 6 in the morning when all this is going on. By the time the ambulance gets daylight outside. Been up all fucking night.
Yeah.
So I'm in the car.
And I had no idea it was going to end like this.
No, not a bit. So another car comes up, another cop car. They go in there. And I'm panicking. They do have me cuffed. I'm in the back. I have my phone in my back pocket. So I managed to get my phone out, and I lean it over enough to where I could text my wife. And I told her, I was like, you need to get over here. Because I'm thinking she can tell them what's going on,
and
what happened.
Explain what kind of dude he was.
Right.
Tell them that they were dating.
Yep.
That she just broke up with them. He was taking it hard. She could lay it out to better explain
exactly
before they came to you, because they're going to come to you to see if your stories match.
Exactly.
Right. No need to cover anything up. No need to. Just tell the truth.
100%.
That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's my mode of thinking. Well, the cop sees me doing that on the phone, and he comes and actually takes the phone from me. But she did get the text. She came. I can see all this out the window. Now people are starting to get up. They're starting to go to church. They're starting to ride by. Now you got ambulances, fire trucks, more police cars.
And you in the back.
And me in the back, and everybody's riding by looking. My neighbor even comes out the house, and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm okay. She's like, where's Jax? And I was like, that's my son's name. And I was like, he's with Felicia. She's like, where are they at? I was like, they're at their house. I said, everybody's good. And
yeah, but still, you got the public humiliation of being in the fucking back of the squad
Everybody's
car.
out there riding by like twice, 2 or 3 times. I was like, motherfucker, you don't need to be riding by this many times. It's early in the morning. Quit being nosy. But it was what it was, man. And I was in that car for what seemed like forever. I seen the ambulance pull up. I seen them load him on the ambulance. I seen the ambulance pull off. There's more cop cars. And finally, I'm in this car for 2.5 hours. And
how long?
It was at least 2 hours. I was in that car.
Jesus.
And a lady cop did come over there, and she read me my rights. She said, you are under arrest. She read me my rights and asked me, was I going to answer any questions? I said, no, not without a lawyer. I was smart enough to know that. But I'm in this car, and nobody's doing anything. I'm not moving. They're not driving me to the station or nothing.
They're not asking you your side of the story. No, they're just.
Once she read me my rights and said, do you want to answer any questions? I said, not without a lawyer. Nobody talked to me after that.
Good.
But I'm still in the car.
That was probably pretty smart.
Yeah. Looking back, it's definitely smart.
I mean, very smart.
So I got to use the bathroom. I got to piss.
Right.
And I noticed motion to the guy when he's walking by. He comes over, and I was like, look, man, I got to go to the bathroom. He's like, you're going to have to hold it. And I'm like, that's not on the table. I was like, it's either me going in this car, I can go in the yard, or you can let me in the house. So eventually they let me out of the car. They bring me in the house, and the guy was handcuffed still, but they do undo him here. And he said, is this your house? And I said, yes, this is my house. I live here. This is my residence. And he said, go use the bathroom, but we need all your clothes. The keep. So they took everything I had on except for my underwear.
Residue and all that kind of shit.
They took everything I had on except for my underwear, and he said, you can put on different clothes. So I'm thinking I'm going right back to being handcuffed. I go, I change, I come back out, and he's like, is there somewhere you can go while we finish our investigation? So now I'm thinking, like, what I wanted to happen may have happened. My wife is telling them what's going on. They're understanding the situation because it's went from you're not under arrest to you are under arrest to where can you go?
You being in the back of the car for 2.5 hours being Mirandized to now you get a piss, change your clothes, and you're not being handcuffed.
Exactly.
So you're probably thinking, okay, maybe they're figuring out that I was in my house. This guy fucking rolled up on my shit, however it went down.
Yeah.
Maybe they're starting to figure it out.
Right.
So you're probably starting to feel a little bit better about it.
Very, very much so. Still adrenaline, still pumping, through the roof, heart beating 90 miles an hour. But at that point, I'm like, all right, well, they're starting to get it. So I tell them where I'm going. I seen one of my buddies out there in a golf cart trying to figure out what was going on.
All these looky-loos.
Yeah. And I said, I'll go just get with him. And I told him the address where I was going to be at. So the police. I get on the golf cart with him. By that time, my mom has come down. She's been called. She's down. And we go over there, and we're over there probably like an hour and a half-ish.
House.
No, it's my buddy, neighbor.
Jamie, or just a different
It was
dude?
a different guy.
Where the fuck's Jamie, my boy?
He's passed out, even though all this shit's going on. He's passed out. So we go to his house, and the cop, about an hour and a half later, cops comes pulling up. I walk out, and he's like, all right, we're done with what we got to do over there at your house. You're free to go back in. He said, when can you come down and give us a statement? I was like, well, look, I'm not coming without a lawyer. And he said, well, who's your lawyer? Well, at the time, I had a divorce attorney. But he was a former cop. So when I said his name, he said, well, I know Donnie. He's like, he used to be one of us. He's like, we'll set up a time for you to come in and answer some questions. I was like, all right, cool.
Probably the smartest fucking thing you ever did, fucking Hollywood.
100%.
I'm just telling you. Because a lot of guys would go on down there thinking that they didn't do anything wrong because they didn't.
And start themselves in holes.
Start yapping.
Yep.
And as soon as they find one little hole, which might have just been a mistake, they start fucking making that hole bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, you can drive a truck through that hole.
Digging.
And you're digging your own shit. Oh, so rolling up there with Donnie was probably the best. I mean, you made in in a very fucked up situation, you made a lot of good decisions.
Yeah.
You really did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but
No,
I mean,
I've gotten told that a lot by other lawyers and other people, and like, so I'm not from the streets, but I understand the streets, if that makes any sense.
Right, yeah.
And I knew the last thing you do is just start talking to fucking cops without an attorney present.
if you don't talk, you walk.
Exactly.
That's what they. I mean, one of my lawyers once told me, innocent people don't cooperate with the police.
100%. That's fucking great. I love that.
Innocent people don't cooperate with the police.
I need that on a T-shirt.
Yes, because if you start cooperating with the police without counsel, they'll just start fucking. They'll navigate it the way they want to.
Yeah, they control it.
But when you're lawyered up,
somebody told me, they said they don't ask questions, they plant landmines.
right? Exactly.
And that's exactly what they do. So I asked him, I said, so I'm free to go back home? And he's like, yeah. And I said, well, what about the mess? And he's like, that's on you to clean up, brother. And he drives off. I didn't know that. That's true. So if you're in your house, right, and you got something go down where there's blood or a crime scene that needs to be cleaned up, the police has absolutely no authority to do anything about that. That is 100% on you to do.
No, you know what? When I used to do mornings on 98 Rock in Tampa, there was a guy that called the show. This is a side note.
Right.
Who and he would call us up and tell us stories, but he had a service that specialized in crime scene cleanup, suicides or shootings, and he would call us up, and that's he was like like almost what's that place called? Service service master, for flood damage, and so he was like a service master for people like you who had something had happened where he'd come in and clean but obviously you didn't have that, so did you have to clean it?
I didn't need that. So by the time I got back there, when they left, my mom went into the house because she was actually at my house or in the yard out there amongst all the people. I didn't even know she was there. So they let her in. She cleaned it up with 2 paper towels because all the blood that was on there was on the floor up under where he was laying until the ambulance got there and picked him up. It was a little bit of dried blood on the floor on the hardwoods. She cleaned it up with 2 paper towels, and that was it.
Where did your 3-round burst go?
Everything was center mass, just like you're trained in the CWP classes. So with those 3, we'll put an emphasis on this. With those 3, 2 of them were through and throughs, meaning they went in and exited. 1 stayed in him. Now these are key, right? 1 exited and hit a 24-pack of water that was next to the refrigerator. It actually went into one of the bottles. Cops didn't even fucking find it. I found it later. The other one hit the refrigerator and then ricocheted over and hit a wall in the house, right up where my dog was sitting almost. And so that wound up being very key because it pointed them to where I was standing at.
It gave them a
validity to my story.
Them a trajectory
how
and all
you
were, which probably validated that he yoked you up on the stove, which put you at this position. And because they're smart motherfuckers, so they'll be able to bring those little
me and you can tell the cops any lie we want, and that's fine. But the forensics, that don't lie, brother.
Those blood spatter motherfuckers and those, they'll get you.
Yeah, the lasers and all that, that kind of stuff, that don't lie.
Your poor, I bet you nobody's ever asked you what happened to your poor dog. Was he freaked the fuck out?
He didn't move. You talk about the epitome of just being chill in any situation.
Of a bullshit fucking watchdog, right?
He's a Siberian Husky, and he's laying in that damn kennel, and it's
and
like
his dad's
through the
getting
whole
his
thing.
ass kicked.
Yeah, I'm getting fucking hammered up there. Guys threatening to kill me. He ain't even doing nothing, not barking or nothing. If I'd had a cheese wrapper or something, he'd have been going crazy.
Fucking Fido wasn't there for Pops at all.
He didn't make a move.
Goddamn dog.
But I'll tell you this, after review, because I reviewed everything after the fact, right? I got all the body cam footage from all the officers. If this thing would have went to trial, he might have could have saved it because they locked him up in the kennel. He's in the kitchen. The kennel is in the kitchen area right next to the back door. He gets out and starts walking around the crime scene.
So he busts out.
Right. They didn't lock. There's a top and a bottom lock. They didn't lock the bottom lock. Huskies, if anybody knows about them, they're like escape artists.
Yes.
Exactly.
My buddy's got one.
He snuck out the bottom and was like walking around. When they come back in there, he's walking around the crime scene. And so they had to open the door, put him back in there.
So had it been a really, he could have contaminated the crime scene
very much.
Could have fucked you.
Could have.
Could have been like, hey, your shit's not as ironclad now that you got all these paw prints and all this bullshit around here.
Yeah, it could have hurt. It could have hurt a lot of stuff in multiple ways. But more than anything, it shows incompetence on their part, right?
Yeah. No, I mean.
And so we're there. All this is going on.
So Mama cleans up the scene. Liam, he's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
He gets transported to the hospital. They said when he arrived, he had a 1% chance of living. That 1% chance expired soon after that, and then he was pronounced dead.
Okay. So at that point, they tell you, come show up with Donnie when you can.
The next day.
Next day. Probably the sooner the better.
Yep.
You probably sat down with Donnie, went through everything. Mm-hmm. Donnie probably gave you some good advice.
Actually, what happened was I went to his office the next morning, and I thought we were going to the police station. I thought we actually had to go. And Donnie's like, no, that ain't how we do. He said, you give me a statement, a full detailed statement. He said, then I submit that to the police. If there's anything they don't get answered from your statement, then we'll give them another statement to answer their questions. He said, we don't go to the police station.
Now, when did you find out that Liam had died?
I found out probably about an hour or so after I got back to my house.
And at that point, you and I talked about before we started the show about people that have had to shoot people before, as I know somebody that's had to do that. Even though this motherfucker, told you he was going to kill you, physically was bigger than you, was in the act of choking your shit out. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, you absolutely handled it textbook. Did it start fucking with you a little bit?
So, no. And I don't want that to come across as me saying that I'm a badass or anything like that. The reason why I say no is because I didn't even have time for the adrenaline to settle, right? That was going on. Adrenaline was through the roof. I found out he died. I'm already talking to my lawyer about having to go tomorrow to make the statement to submit it. And again, I'm looking at this as I survived someone trying to kill me, not that I killed somebody.
Right. And I'm not trying to say you should have felt a certain different way.
Right.
I was just thinking if you were starting to play mind games with yourself, like, I could have done something differently,
Well, I mean, you do start to do that, right? That comes after everything settles down. It's like a car wreck. You don't feel all the injuries the first day or maybe even the second, but that third day, everything starts to settle, and now your back it hurts, your hip hurts, and your knee's out of joint. So that's kind of what this was, right? But when I go to Donnie's and we submit everything. The next morning, and I leave, he calls me. I'm not going 45 minutes. And he's like, hey, everything they asked, you answered in your statement. We should be good to go. So I'm like, all right. Starting to take a breath. Now that night, some of what you're referring to, I started like, man, is there anything that could have went differently from this? What do I do? Whatever. This is Monday. Tuesday, I think it's like, middle of the day, my lawyer calls me, and there's Donnie, and he's like, hey, I got some bad news. If you're involved in anything, especially something to this level, and your lawyer calls and says, I got some bad news, that's not a good thing.
No.
And he said, they're going to charge you with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. He said, I want you to turn yourself in tomorrow to Hill Finkley Detention Center at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, holy shit.
What changed?
And that's why I said, why? And he's like, dude, I don't know. He's like, your story lines up. He's like, it looks to me, it's a clean shoot. He's like, I was a cop. He said, my only thing is they're going to try to spin this as like a love triangle thing, and you killed him to get your wife back. And I'm like, but we were already getting back together.
Not only that, but we were still married.
Yeah. I was like, we were already getting back together. We're still married. Like, they got the idea right, but the person wrong. I was like, he was the one that was pissed. He was trying to kill me because of this. And he was like, look, I believe you. He's like, I'm just telling you what's going on. He's like, you got to be here at 12 o'clock.
Which just goes to show you how fucked up state prosecutors are and how they look at things. And I've had all types of run-ins with state prosecutors, and they have a God complex, and when they get something in their head, it's impossible to change their mind, and they can railroad. I've been railroaded. They tried to railroad you.
Yeah.
I mean, they thank God you're here today to talk to me, because shit could have gone a lot different.
Oh, a ton different. And
so the cops all check off on your story. Mm-hmm. Your statement, it checks all the boxes. It goes across the state attorney's office, and they want to be a hero. They want to be Johnny, protect the veteran, whatever, and they interpret it differently than the crime scene report.
Well, I think it was the detective.
Really?
The detective was a newly promoted detective. I was her first case. She was a woman. The word I got from the department, I'm not disparaging women in any way. No. There's some very good women in law enforcement, but the word that I got, it was time to hire a woman, and she was the only choice. And she got that bump. And if you want to say, well, you know, one mess, whatever. Right now, her current job, she went from a homicide detective to her current job, if she's even still a cop anymore. I heard she got fired, but outside of that, the last job that she had, she's a school resource officer at an elementary school.
Yeah,
and
so
that is
she's-
pretty much your fucking graveyard of a cop.
She's gone.
Yeah.
And so she figures, I need a big sexy murder on my resume.
Yes. She
And
tried to spin a narrative that didn't
I'm going to
exist.
spin for selfish reasons.
Yep.
Again, somebody having a personal agenda.
Yep.
But it sounds like, you know, as we get down a little bit more down the story, that the checks and balances started working out for you with regard to the judicial system actually worked in your case.
Surprisingly, yes, because
Sometimes it'll fuck you.
when he told me that, he's like, you got to be there at 12. I was very confident in this guy handling my divorce. Not so much in him handling a murder case because I didn't know his background in this. So I said, look, I'll call you back here in a little bit. I got to, you know, process all this. So I start making calls. And again, I'm not a criminal. I've never needed an attorney for anything. So I start calling the people that are in the know. And I'm like, look, this is what I got going on. Who would I call?
You mean attorneys?
Yeah, same
Like
name kept popping up.
Big slinging dick.
Big slinging dick. And I got the biggest dick there was.
True criminal.
Yeah.
You know, not divorce shit, but true criminal stuff.
Criminal.
And one name kept popping up.
And it was Savage. Andy Savage. Andy Savage.
Even sounds
Andy
like
Savage.
a badass.
Even sounds like
Right?
a badass.
I'm hiring fucking Savage.
Andy Savage was so close to Randy Savage, who
Right.
you're around the rest of the world, and Randy was a badass.
Let me tell you, brother.
And so I'm just like, all right, that's
So do you
my
lawyer
guy.
up with Savage?
I call his office that day. By this time, it's like 4:00.
Now, is this Wednesday?
This is Wednesday, yes. No, this is Tuesday. I got to turn myself in on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So I called his office on Tuesday, and somebody gets back with me, and they was like, you know, what you got going on? I tell them the story, and they was like, can you be here tomorrow at 2:30? And I'm like, no, ma'am. And she's like, why not? I said, I got to be in jail at 12.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, hold on. She comes
Hold
back.
on. And that's so foreign to you, Wade.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you're not you know, you watch you watch Matt's stuff and you watch Danny's stuff, and they're dealing with people. They're like, yeah, you know, when they talk about prison or jail, they've done it once. They've done it
Yeah,
once
it's
or
not
twice.
no big deal. I had to go to county, and this was a
Yeah,
camp.
I went to county, and I went to
you know,
medium.
I was
and then
there
I
with
had to
him,
go-
and
I went to
you know,
camp, and then I went to a halfway house.
Yeah, they had
This-
breakfast on Fridays,
This
pancakes.
shit's completely like you're just a regular dude, never been in trouble,
Never.
never did, and now you're telling Savage's old girl, I got to be in jail tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, and they're charging me with, you know, murder.
Murder.
They're wanting to give me 25 to life. So she comes back and she said, can you be here at 7 a.m.? I was like, ma'am, I'll come there now and sleep in the parking lot.
Right.
I'll be there.
I'll bring a fucking sleeping bag.
So me, my wife, and my mom head over there that
Now
morning.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you got to talk to your wife when after they let you go and mama cleans up? Did you sleep in your bed that night?
Yes.
You slept in your bed that night. But when was she at the scene when they released you?
When I come back to the house, she probably was there within a little bit because, see, we didn't have anybody to sit with the kids, and we
Right.
didn't want them to know what was going on.
No.
So she was there for a little bit. Then she had to go back. And then by this time, at this point, now the kids are up because it's 11 in the afternoon. So she was comfortable leaving my daughter with my son, and she did come back. So
Okay.
that's when we kind of got to talk and explain everything that was going on. We found out, you know, that the other guy didn't make it and all that. So that was really the first time we got to talk.
What was her feelings with regards to Liam?
She blamed herself. She took a lot of blame, and she didn't have to. And look, I know everybody can say, well, this hadn't happened for this reason. I was like, look, you know, it could have happened a million different ways, maybe not so good in my favor. You know, if he would have got me in that kitchen.
One of those crazy bitches you were dating.
Exactly.
I mean, right?
And it could have even happened where if he got me in that kitchen, hey, he might have went back over there and took all them out. And then you got 5 funerals instead of 1.
And think about this now. We sit there and say that, but in today's world,
that happens all the time.
That shit ain't impossible.
No, all the time you see
where
that.
PTSD veteran kills husband, then goes back and kills the rest of the family.
Because you're 100% invested, right? If he kills me, he's done.
You might as well.
Why not go?
Might as well go out like John Wayne.
Yeah, take them all out, take yourself out, and now you're burying everybody.
You know, I mean, you know, you. I don't know if you've been called a hero, but I mean, stopping Liam potentially could have saved a lot of people's lives. I mean,
100%.
we just went through a scenario that could have very well happened.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of how we
That's how
looked at
she
it.
has to process it.
Yeah. And, obviously everybody beats, I think it's like some kind of self-imposed, thing. We all beat ourselves up about it when we think we could have done something to change a situation that turned out not so good. But that's what I told her. I was just like, look, it sucks the way it happened, but if it had to come down to something this dramatic, this was the best outcome because my concern is me and my family.
Right. All right. So you're at Savage's
office.
Yep. Because you're supposed to turn yourself in.
Yeah, 12 o'clock. I'm supposed to be checking in the county jail. So we go in and we tell him the story. I break it all down, much like I'm telling you here. And he sits back in his chair and he just goes, "Why are we here?" I don't know. You told me to be here at 7 a.m. And he's like, "No, I mean, why are we here?" And he goes, "If you're telling me the truth," and he said, "I have the best team money can buy
as far as forensics and stuff."
Right. He said, "If you're telling me the truth, then we'll find out if you are. Then why are we here? This doesn't make sense." He said, "Is somebody up for re-election? What is going on?" And I was like, "Dude, I can't tell you." I said, "But I can't tell you that." I said, "But what I can tell you is everything I'm telling you is the truth."
Right.
I'm in a unique position to where I have no need to lie about anything. Everything that happened was the truth, and that's what I'm telling you. And so we finished doing the thing, and as we start telling him things, and my wife's telling him things, his team is printing off papers and reports, and we got this on them and that. It was like something out of a Tom Clancy movie.
So he's got his whole team on it.
Yeah, they're on it right off the bat.
Because
investigators coming in,
he's got to be on it because you're doing jail.
Yeah,
and he's got to have a defense, and he's got probably a bond hearing and all this kind of shit coming up.
Well, check the swingingness of this guy. We're making you biggest swinging dick.
Yeah.
This is how big his is when he throws it on the table. He goes, "When are you supposed to be in jail?" And now it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, "In 2 hours." And he's like, "Hold on." He goes out, comes back in. He said, "Look, I got your surrender pushed back till Friday." He said, "I'll probably get it pushed back till Sunday." He's like, "But I just said
this is
Friday."
Wednesday.
This is Wednesday morning.
Wednesday
now.
morning.
I'm supposed to be in jail in a couple hours with a phone call. I don't know who he called. I don't know what he said.
Got you
I've
pushed
never
back
asked,
too.
but he got it pushed back to Friday, and then eventually pushed all the way back to Sunday.
Right. Does Andy still practice?
Oh yeah, he's still active.
Is he your boy?
Oh yeah, I talk to him every now and
man.
then. I said, when are you about close to retirement? He's like, "I don't know, Wade." He said, "I do enjoy kicking ass in the courtroom."
Yeah.
He said, "But it's getting closer." So we tell him the story. We get the price, right? These kind of shit they're not cheap.
Oh, I know.
And it's $50,000 just to take the case.
I was gonna say 50 retainer.
Yeah, that was what it was.
Yeah.
50 just to take the case.
Yeah.
Now you need another 15 to start doing your investigations and everything else.
And they start chipping away at that 50 real fast.
Yeah. Well, what it is, right? This is how we did this, and this is where the support system comes in from the family. My wife and my mom, without batting a fucking eye, my wife threw up 2 credit cards. She said, "You can put $20,000 on this one, $10,000 on this one." My mom threw up a card, said, "You can put $20,000 on this." We paid the $50,000 in full,
right there,
right up front. And I said, "We'll work on anything else after that. If we got to make payments or whatever." So,
but
stood up.
Having Andy was essential.
Yes,
I mean,
you had to. No way around it. You're not doing this shit with a public defender. You're going to be in jail.
No.
You got to have the big guns. So we do that. We prepare for me to go in. It's not really, I wouldn't classify it as a party, but a lot of the family come up, the Sunday or Saturday before I was supposed to turn myself in on Sunday. Because, there's no guarantee you're getting bond for a murder. Right? That's not guaranteed.
I mean, at this point, you're still murder.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy hadn't worked his magic yet.
Right.
You're still murder.
So
in the court system, you're murder.
Yeah. We get together. We do our thing.
That had to be emotional.
It was very emotional.
It had to be really, really tough.
It was very tense. It was an awkward situation
because you couldn't tell them necessarily if you're going to get a bond.
Yeah,
you couldn't tell them, "Hey, listen, it's just going to be a procedure where I'll be in and out." Like it was.
Yeah, but I didn't know what to tell my son because I didn't know if I was coming back home.
The judge could have said, "We're not giving you a bond.
Yeah.
You're a murderer,
and you stay in there for what could be years."
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect.
So Saturday night, family all comes around. It's kind of emotional.
Stressful, emotional. Nobody really knew what to say. It was just very tense. You could, as they used to say in the wrestling business, you can cut the electricity with a knife in there.
Right.
I mean, it was very tense. And so we do our thing. The next morning, we get up. I went to church, and I had to be there at, I think, 2. So it was kind of like that scene from Goodfellas. I got in the car with my wife and my mom, and I was like, all right, take me to jail.
They took you to jail.
And so they dropped me off, and there was this little gazebo tree right outside, and a bunch of us went, probably 3 cars went, my sister, my wife's sister, and they all hugged me. You know, we exchanged our goodbyes, and I go get checked in. It's the first time I've ever been arrested in my life.
Right.
I've never been fingerprinted or all that jazz, so we're going through, we're doing all that.
And this is completely foreign to you.
Yeah,
You have
I don't know none of this shit. I've never been locked up. The only thing I've ever watched is Oz, which is not the best show to watch before you go to fucking jail, let me tell you. And so I go in there and I sit down, and there's this damn biker looking guy sitting there, and he looks at me and he's like, bench of shame, huh? And I was like, yeah, something like that. And I've always been told not to talk. Like, just keep to yourself. Right. Keep to yourself. You'll be fine. Don't engage.
Those cons are sizing you up.
Yeah, right off the bat. So
Matt Cox will tell you all about that.
So we do the fingerprinting. They do the mug shot, and they throw me in the holding cell. I'm sitting in there, and this guy is talking, left and right. And I'm not really saying a whole lot. Well, you know, when you get in, you have to be called in to see the magistrate. Well, my lawyer had already smartened me up in the fact he's like, you can't be freed by a magistrate. You'll have to go, but there's nothing they can do. You've got to be seen by the circuit court because of your charge. Now, where I really caught a break, Bubba, is the circuit court in South Carolina rotates county to county. So if you miss it, you sit there until it comes back. Luckily, it was in Berkeley County when I was there. So I was able to go in on Sunday and have a circuit court hearing Monday morning.
So you literally spent the night in jail.
Literally. I wound up spending 2, but I go in on Sunday.
2.
Yeah. I go in on Sunday.
I'll take 2.
I'll take 2. I go in on Sunday, spend the night. We got bond court Monday. When they come and got me to go to this court, they walked me through this. It looked like a dungeon, like he's walking into hell. I mean, just like very intimidating. Again, I don't have all these war stories of prison. And I'm in this room with all these people that are waiting to be seen. And there's guys in there talking about who they want to get out and go kill.
Is it a Zoom court kind of?
No, it's in court. This is pre-COVID.
Oh, okay.
We're still in.
Oh,
this is actual
we're pre-COVID.
court.
Yeah. So you're physically in a courtroom.
Yeah, and they got me in a holding room with all these other people that's got to be seen too.
And you got your prison jumpsuit on?
Actually, no, because you don't get that until you get transferred to a pod. I still had the clothes on that I had when I was arrested.
Oh.
Because once you get transferred to a pod from holding, that's when you get all your jumps and your
So you still
your
had
jumpsuits.
civilian shit?
I had civilian shit on. So we go in there, and my name gets called. I come in, biggest courtroom I'd ever seen.
Right.
You know, I see all my people out there in the thing. We go up. They got me handcuffed, wrist to wrist, wrist to ankle. I'm having to do the little shimmy. You know, I get there, and of course, the state is giving every reason why I'm this horrible monster, and I don't deserve to walk the streets, and I'm a menace to society, and I'm a cold-blooded, calculated killer, and all this. And my lawyer's saying, of course, all that's full of shit. He's had the same job for 14 years, upstanding member of the community, you know, never been in trouble before in his life, isolated incident. He was attacked in his home. They're going back and forth. So I'm thinking my lawyer's doing very well. And only time I'd ever heard this since, like, my knowledge of the judicial system at that point was what I'd seen on TV. So when somebody's going up for a bond, they either hit the gavel and they say, bond granted, bond denied. She hits the gavel and she says, I'll make my decision and let you know. And I looked at my lawyer and I said, what the hell does that mean? He said, I guess that means she'll let us know. And they're already dragging me away. I don't get a chance to converse with him or nothing. So they're back in this room.
Taking you back.
Taking me back to the room. They're rearranging the cuffs differently and all that. And I asked that guy, I was like, so what does that mean? I was like, she said that she'll get back with you and let us know. He's like, you'll probably get a decision in a week or so. And I'm like, a week or so? I'm not built for jail, Bubba. I'll tell you that. No. I'm built for a lot of shit, but I'm not built for jail.
I can weld like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I cannot do jail.
I can build these bars, but I'm not meant to be behind them. You know what I'm saying? That's not my thing. Yeah. So I get back to the holding. I give it like an hour, and I go back to the phone, call the wife, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Well, by the time I called her, the word had already come down that they were going to give me bond. I don't know if the judge just didn't want to say it in the courtroom for the press or whatever it was.
Or the prosecuting attorney.
Or the prosecuting attorney. Not sure. Can't explain it. But she's like, they're going to give you bond, but the paperwork probably won't be processed until tomorrow. So you might not get out until tomorrow. But you still may. But expect tomorrow. If it happens sooner, fine.
You can live with that.
I'm like, I can do another night. You know,
Well, yeah.
the holding ain't too bad. You know, I can do another night in the holding. The sandwiches suck, but you know, I can do another night.
Right. And holding is a whole different. That's like romper room compared to going to the real jail, right?
Yes.
Holding is just.
Everybody they arrest throughout that night or day. You know, they brought in like 10 guys that were
but you're
all
not going to get shanked in holding.
No, you're not going to get shanked in holding.
Right.
Hopefully not. Anyway, I didn't.
Right.
But we're in there. But people are still getting called out, right? So at about 10 o'clock, the doors open and somebody goes, Williamson. And I'm like, fuck, they got it through. I jumped from the top bunk to the door. And I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. And he's like, all right, we're going to transfer you over to C-Pod. And I was like, is that where you go to get out? And he's like, no, that's C-Pod. You're getting transferred to a pod.
That's where you're going to get in.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, now I'm getting out tomorrow. And he said, you may be, but this is just, you know, you're the next on the pecking order. You know, you're only in there for so long before you get put over into the pod.
Maybe it's alphabetic order and W saved you. You know what I'm saying?
well, he actually recognizes me. He said, you're Leah's dad. Leah's my daughter. And he said, you're Leah's dad, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, my wife teaches your daughter gymnastics. And I'm like, oh, well, nice to meet you.
Sorry, under the wrong conditions.
Yeah, wish it could have been over a beer.
I'm not a murderer.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, I said, what am I going to?
Now, hold on, let me ask you a question, Wade. When you were in the holding cell, because, you know, all these guys are talking and shit, are they like, what you in for? What you in for? And like, did you say, you know, motherfucking murder?
Well, I'll tell you the funny story, right? So when we went to the magistrate, it was me, the biker, and this younger kid. And of course, like you said, Williamson, I'm dead last. The younger kid's got a marijuana possession. He gets a PR bond. The biker's second DUI. He gets to me, and the magistrate says, and we're all on this bench together, handcuffed, you know.
Right.
And the biker's to the right of me, the kid's to the left, and she goes, Mr. Williamson, you're being charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. You can't be seen by a magistrate. You'll be seen, you know, by the circuit court judge. And that guy goes,
the biker.
The biker looked up, and then he scoops down about 5 feet that way. He was sitting beside me in the holding cell. When they get us back to the holding cell, he gets his shit and goes clear to the other side of the room.
The fucking biker was afraid of you.
He's like, fuck, man,
the guy's a murderer. This is taken now, started on, this whole event started on Sunday. When were you due back to work?
So I was out for the surgery. I was due back to work that Monday. The Monday after I got arrested.
Right. So Monday, but on Monday, you thought at that point, if I remember right, you were still cool.
Yeah.
You know, they hadn't given you the good news yet.
Right.
You know, it was Tuesday that you got the good news.
Yeah.
Or actually the bad news.
Yeah.
You know.
Tuesday I got out.
So did you go to work Monday?
No, I was still in jail because I'm in jail Sunday night, right?
Oh, that's right.
Monday I have bond court. And then I thought I was getting out that night when that guy talked to me, but he was like, no, you're getting transferred to the pod. And so I got out Tuesday morning. So now when I'm out Tuesday morning, and I'll throw this in there too, when I left, those guys was like, man, you're going to, you know, what are you going to do with that toilet paper? What are you going to do with that toothbrush? And what are you going to do with that cup? I was like, I ain't going to do shit. Y'all have whatever you want. But it meant so much to those dudes in there because they don't have all that.
Right.
You know, so I'll be honest. The situation sucked, but being in there for that night, I heard a lot of conversations in there. Like, it wasn't as bad as you think it was going to be. I didn't want to stay in there anymore. Like, you know, they were cool and all, but I think it's something that everybody needs to experience.
Right.
Because when you have your freedoms stripped from you like that, it is a humbling experience.
It makes just walking down the street feel different.
Yeah, 100%.
When you walk out of this building today and you go get in your car, and you go get back on your airplane, and you go back home, we take that all for granted.
We do.
You know, and if you just look around and be like, you know, if I just wanted to walk down to that store right now, I could. Mm-hmm. But we take it for granted, and like you said, unless you've been incarcerated or unless you've had your freedom taken away for an extended amount of time, nobody really knows how precious
that is.
Freedom is.
Just going to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Opening the refrigerator, seeing food, feeling that cold air coming out of it. You look at everything
just taking
different.
a shit in your own toilet.
Yeah, that dude. Not in front of 15, 20 other guys.
Right. All right, so we're headed to C-Pod.
Yep, we go to C-Pod. One of the gentlemen that I seen in there, all the bottom bunks are full.
Your job fired you, though.
Yeah, after I got out. So I'm not out yet. C-Pod, I'm still in there, right?
So you haven't fired yet?
No, I'm still technically employed by that point. I see this bottom bunk's full, so I go to get on the top. I recognize one of the guys from the holding area. He was ecstatic that he got 15 years because he set his sister on fire and was facing 30. And so I was like, only guy I knew.
That's a hardcore motherfucker right there.
And I'm like, I said, hey, care if I go? Oh, no, man. He was a very nice guy to me. He didn't set me on fire. And so he's like, yeah, man, go ahead. And we talk a little bit in there. Matter of fact, there was a huge riot at Evans Correctional Facility in Bennettsville in South Carolina. He got the news in there that night that his cousin had gotten stabbed and murdered in there that night. So it was a somber deal with that. But, all in all, it wasn't terrible. And my first thing was like, all right, I'm not taking a shower. I'm not going in the shower. I know where shit happens in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
But
you watched Oz.
I watched Oz. I felt comfortable enough. I was like, you know what? I am going to take a shower because the things that they give you in Holden was nasty. I just felt nasty.
Right.
It was later in the night.
And you probably sized up the competition.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
I'm all right here.
And they see the tattoos, and everything. They thought I'd been there before.
Right.
They really did.
Yeah.
And when I would go to head to the bathroom,
you present like you might have been in the hole.
And so one guy goes, he's like, well, you've been here before, right? You know how the bathroom or the shower works, right? I'm like, oh yeah. Never been there before.
Had no idea fucking
Don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I go in there, and it's like this little thing you press in, and the water shoots out for like 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then it stops, so you got to do it over again. So quickly I knew what they were talking about. And there's something you're supposed to do, wedge a piece of plastic in there that keeps it on. I didn't do that. I was having to take showers like, this, holding it, doing the thing. But I do that. I get out. It's not the worst night in the world. There's people in there actually building people up, telling them to go get jobs, and they can do jobs this when they get out with Felon in C-Pod. Next morning, I give everybody my stuff. I get out.
Oh, no, but so next morning, they call you, Williamson.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yep. And
that's when you dole out your toiletries, and you're out. I'm out. So at that point, who's picking you up?
Mom picks me up. She's there. I go home. Just kind of, like you said, take in everything, the mailbox and, everything that you don't even think about that sometimes is a hassle. Now you're appreciating the hell out of it.
You're going to the mailbox saying, man, I got some mail. It's a fucking bill, but I got it.
Yeah. And I got to go.
Now, where's Felicia?
She's at work.
Okay.
She's still going to work.
She's still going to work. Kids at this time probably are up to speed on what happened.
My son, not so much. My daughter, yeah. My son was a little young, so I don't think he fully grasped what was going on. My daughter was a senior in high school, so she got it.
Definitely knows.
She knew what was up.
And it was probably all the scuttlebutt of high school being from a small little,
It was that. Dude, the rumor mill in that neighborhood, because every neighborhood now has a Facebook page.
Right.
I was reading some of that shit. My lawyer said, don't comment on anything you read if you read it. He's like, just let it be. And I was like, all right.
No matter how fucking mad they make you.
It was the weird.
Murderer.
I heard he come home and found his wife in bed with that guy and shot him and then made up this. I'm like, we weren't even living together. We've been separated for months.
She wasn't even there.
She wasn't even there. But I mean, I had to learn to cut it off because I would get angry reading that kind of shit.
Mama picks you up, takes you back to the crib. You at that point, is that when you learn you lost your job?
Well, I get in my car and I go out there because I was supposed to be at work Monday, and I let them know. I didn't tell them why. I knew they would find out, but I was like, I'm not going to be there Monday. I'll let you know when I'm free. And so I come out, I go over to the job, and they asked me to go into a room and wait on the GIF. It was a plant manager's name. And he comes in there and we talk, and I tell him the story. I'm like, look, this is what happened. This is what's going on. And he's like, well, Wade, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. And I looked at him and I said, well, why? I was like, I'm not guilty of anything. I said, I'm innocent until proven guilty. I'm going to be out. I'm not going to miss work. Right. I'm free to do whatever.
When you bonded out as C-Pod, Savage had worked his magic where you knew that you weren't going back in.
Yes.
You were bonded out till trial.
At least until trial.
Until trial. Okay, so you knew you had that.
Yeah, the only restrictions that I had was that they said I was on house arrest, even though I didn't have to wear an anklet. They said you're on house arrest, and the only places you can go is work, doctor's offices, lawyers' visits, and church. That's the only thing you're allowed to do.
Work, doctors, lawyers, and church. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Not even in public. If I didn't want to go to, couldn't do that. Couldn't do nothing.
Old girl had to go to public.
Oh yeah, she had to do all the shopping. Couldn't do anything.
And you don't have a job.
And I didn't step off on the. I didn't even, like you said, checking the mail. I'm like checking the mail, like reaching around. I didn't want to step off the curb.
Afraid to step in the street because they got get you.
Yeah, I'm like, because I didn't have an anklet on.
You thought you
like,
had some guys with some binoculars across the street.
I was like, they got to be watching or something because they didn't have no anklet on me or whatever. So I go to work and he tells me, he's like, unfortunately, man, we got to let you go. And
so now you ain't got a job. You're perceived by some people as a murderer. Your poor daughter, was she taking any shrapnel at school?
Not that she ever told me. I think she was pretty supported by our friend group. Not that she ever disclosed to me, but it was still hard to deal with.
Were you taking shit from anybody?
Oh yeah, like the neighborhood was going off, but I mean, like I can't do anything back.
Now what about? And I don't know that anybody's ever asked you this, but what about Liam's family?
So I never heard anything from them at all, but they weren't from here. They were from the Philadelphia area. So they weren't even local to the area.
So now, have you ever heard anything?
I've not ever heard from them, but at the preliminary hearing that happened a few months after I got out, they were present at the preliminary hearing. And I only knew that because my wife told me.
Preliminary hearing, which would have been to set charges or set a trial date?
It was to bind it to trial. In the preliminary hearing, you find out if there's enough evidence to carry it to trial.
Okay, so they were there.
Yeah, they were there for that.
And you didn't know that till after your wife Felicia had told you that.
Yeah, I didn't know who they were. I mean, there was a lot of people around the area. I just didn't know who none of them were. I was just concerned about my side.
Now, were you and Felicia now back together full time?
Yes.
Like, so this was an event, a tragedy that you guys were headed back to that direction.
That speed rolled it.
But that speed rolled it because quite frankly, you needed her. I mean, you needed the family support.
Yeah. 100%.
So did you guys, even though your son was a little bit young, your daughter was fully up to speed, for that period of time when you didn't have a job and, you're just trying to stay out of trouble, which you can't get. You're not a troublemaker to begin with. This is it's my understanding. This is the first time you'd ever been in trouble.
Oh yeah, at all. Worst thing I'd had on my record, Bubba, is a speeding ticket.
Right. Typical guy shit.
Yeah.
So at dinner at night, or because you have more time at home, were you talking to the kids a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't get too much in the weeds with my son at the time on it. I talked to my daughter about it a little bit, and she's coming up on graduation, right? And the one thing they did do. They let me go to her graduation, but I couldn't go anywhere afterwards. So like they went out for dinner, I couldn't go to that. I couldn't join them for that.
Just
I got
for
to go
the
to graduation and come back home.
Ceremonies, home.
Yep. And
which is cool.
It is cool.
Did you have to call your PO and say, hey, may I? Mm-hmm. Or what's the?
It had to be ran through the solicitor. The PO never really cared what it was. The solicitor was the one that would give the okay. Hey, you can do this, or hey, you can't do this.
And so, how long were you on house arrest?
The whole time.
No, like period.
The almost 5-year period from start to finish. I was on house arrest the whole time. It never got released.
So this whole process took 5 years?
Right at it. It was like 4 years and 10 months or something like that.
All right. So do you find a new job?
Eventually, yes. I find a new job. So they fire me. Obviously, I got to start looking.
Now, whatever happened to a speedy trial? Whatever happened to...
Sometimes you don't want that. Now, my case is different, right? I wasn't guilty of anything. But if you're guilty... You don't necessarily want a speedy trial. You want time to go by. People die. People move. People get caught for shit that damages their reputation. Evidence gets lost. People forget what's going on. Shit burns down. All kinds of stuff happens the more time you can push off a trial. If you're on the side to where you might have something to hide. I didn't.
Right.
But at the same time, it would have gotten done faster. The reason in my case why it took so long was COVID. My lawyer refused to work Zoom, Skype, or anything like that. He said, I don't work on a computer. I work in a courtroom. Well, obviously, I got to have a job to be able to maintain and keep my head above water. Now, when they fired me from Nucor, the blessing in the fact that they fired me was I had a pretty substantial 401k. Had a little over $100,000.
Okay.
So I pulled out that. I pay mom back. I pay the wife back because they don't need to be paying credit cards on shit that's my problem.
Right. And the high interest on that kind of money.
Pay the cards up. Pay the card that I had off. Pay my car off. Basically, I'm good. We've got the house bills and the normal stuff that the wife can maintain.
Right.
Until I can get back on my feet. So that was a big blessing to do that.
And then probably finding a gig that wasn't going to prejudge you.
Well, see, that was the thing, right? I've never had to tell anybody that I was, being charged of anything. And even now, I'm not convicted. So I go and I interview with a guy to be like a welder at a shop.
You're not convicted.
And he's like, any felonies or anything like that? And I'm like, well, no. And I tell him this story. And he's like, well, I've done some little bit of law work in college. He's like, I don't think you got anything to worry about. He's like, I'm still going to offer you the job. And I was like, well, great. And I called my wife. I was like, you know what? I told him I was honest. I was like, he still offered me the job. And, we're excited. We come home that night. It's a little bit better mood in the house. 2 days later, the whole process runs through their corporate offices in Arizona. Guess what? They see a pending murder charge. They rescinded the offer. So now I know not to go to any big companies.
Right,
Volvo,
you got to go to like mom and pop shit.
Yeah, Mercedes, got to go to mom and pop stuff. So there was a mom and pop sign operation in Charleston. Needed a welder fabricator, installer. I'm like, perfect. Now, this is all close to me getting fired. This was only with a week or two from me getting fired. So there's not a huge gap in the employment.
Right.
And so I go there, and this time I'm like, all right, I ain't telling shit.
Right.
If they ask me, I'm not convicted of anything, so it's not a lie.
Right.
We talk, and he's like, look, Wade, I can't pay you what you were making at Nucor. He's like, we're not that kind of business. And I said, look, I don't need to. I just need to change. I was like, my son's getting into sports. I want to be more involved. I don't want to do the swing shift shit. I want to wake up in the morning, go to work, come home in the evenings, be home every night.
Be done with it.
And he's like, all right, well, I can do this. We agreed on a wage, and boom, I start working there.
All right.
Going great. 3 months in, guess where they get a job to do a sign at? Nucor Steel.
Nucor.
Hey, you want to go out there? No, I do not. And he was like, all right, well, I just thought you might want to go out. I was like, no, I'm good, man. I got a lot to do here. I'm good. Sure as shit, they go out there. Somebody gets to talking. Yeah, we got a guy at our place used to work out here. Wade. Oh, Wade, how's everything going? Well, it seemed to be good. Well, how did his case turn out? I know he got, in that trouble with that shooting and the murder charge. What? So then they found out. Dude, when the guy told me that he found out what happened, I come in that morning, he goes, I heard a story about you over the weekend.
The boss man?
It wasn't the boss. It was like the lead guy.
Like the foreman.
The foreman. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
And you knew they'd been out at Nucor.
I knew they knew. He told me what the guy told him, and I basically kind of gave him the rundown, but this wasn't to the boss.
How close was the Nucor guy who had gotten it fifth hand, eighth hand?
Nowhere near.
Probably all fucking you.
Barely knew that guy.
But what I'm saying, it wasn't pro you.
Probably not.
Right.
I don't know all of what he said. I don't know if the guy was truthful with everything that he told him.
Now, while you're out, the 5 years that you're out, before this all got handled, did you ever come across people that were straight up, knew what went down, and knew the story factually?
Some, not many. Most of everything that you read online
how was the media
bullshit.
report?
They were camped out of my house, man. When I got out of jail, there was media reports
reporting
there.
it fairly, or were they reporting it slanted? Because slanted's way more salacious.
Oh yeah, it sells more.
And the news doesn't have to necessarily be honest. And you did shoot a guy, and they can interpret it however they want, and you were arrested for murder. So a lot of times the media will embellish it for their personal gain. So how is it being reported by the media?
It was reported in the days of when it first happened, because there was a week between the shooting and me getting arrested, right? All the reports were coming out within the days of the shooting. It was fairly down the middle. There was a shooting here, so-and-so shot so-and-so. One of the reports even had that the Dwayne Lewis, who's the sheriff, said, Williamson cooperated with 911 or cooperating with investigators. He even called 911 after the shooting, which doesn't typically happen. So I'll give them this. They weren't exactly throwing me to the wolves, so to speak.
But I mean, fundamentally, were they reporting it? Guys in his house, attacked by another man in his house, defending his castle, shot a guy, killed a guy in self-defense.
Yeah, they never went that detailed, really.
But that's fundamentally what happened.
100%.
But they had to soup it up.
Yeah, they soup it up a little bit, and they also leave it vague too. They don't tell you Williamson shot Liam and all this. They just tell you like the broad strokes. They don't get too much into the details of it, and they never covered it really after it happened.
Well, here's the thing: nothing sexy about a guy being innocent.
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, unfortunately,
that's not going to sell the tickets.
No, unfortunately, on TV and the short form, in the minute and 5 seconds they got to tell the story, Williamson beat the charges and was found not guilty and is leading a prosperous life. That doesn't sell shit.
No.
And that's what sucks.
It
That's
does.
what sucks. That's why you got to rely on people, that podcasting and other to get your story out. And I know this would be a good time for us to promote your podcast. You got a podcast out.
I do.
Go ahead and tell us about that right now.
It was called Crime and Entertainment. So I come up with that name. It's COVID. Half the world started a podcast during COVID. And I was talking to my buddy who had a little bit of experience with it. He's a photographer and he's done podcasting. And he was like, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, I don't know, man. True crime's kind of the thing right now. I was like, but I want to talk about other shit, wrestling and, fight, UFC and all kinds of stuff, movies and TV shows
Man shit.
and, mobsters and all that. He's like, so you want to do crime and entertainment? And I'm like, that's a pretty catchy fucking name right there, Crime and Entertainment.
Yeah.
So we hit that and, it started out as, audio, just me and him.
Right.
And then it kind of branched into me doing video interviews.
Right.
And he fell off. He had no interest in doing it with me full time. He just wanted to help me get going.
Okay.
And then he backed out of it.
Okay.
And it just kind of went from me doing interviews. And I've interviewed, Tom Sizemore from the movie Heat and Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong.
Me too.
A lot of people from The Sopranos. I was
Yeah.
a huge Sopranos fan. I've interviewed multiple people from Sopranos, from The Wire.
Now, where can people find your podcast? YouTube?
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So all the video portions are up to YouTube.
All the sexy places that people get their podcasts. Crime, and is it called Crime and Entertainment?
Yep, that is the name, Crime and Entertainment. And actually,
With Hollywood.
with Hollywood Wade. when it got started,
Hollywood Wade.
and that nickname come from years ago when VHSs were still a thing.
Yeah.
You had Blockbuster Video and Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
Well, I used to go buy the movies and I would dub them. You hook up two VCRs.
Yeah.
So I had all the movies.
Right.
So one weekend, the guy goes, well, what are we going to do this weekend? It's like, we'll go binge watch all the Halloween movies. And the guy's like, we don't need to, or he said, we can either go to Blockbuster Video or Hollywood Video. And the guy goes, we don't need that. We got Hollywood Wade.
Yeah, we got
And that
Hollywood.
name stuck. And that's where the name come from. So that's the
So you were a
origin story.
criminal, Wade.
A little bit.
You were doing some
I didn't
pirate.
get caught. I didn't get caught for it.
You ever notice when you would watch those stuff, they have all those FBI disclaimers and
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
going to
yeah,
put you
that
in
was
jail for 100 years if you.
I don't
if
press record on the tape until after that goes off.
Right,
but-
exactly. So you get a new job, the boss man, the foreman finds out some third-hand bullshit. We don't know how accurate it is.
Yep.
Do you get fired from the mom and pop deal?
No, I don't. But I know they know because anytime anything come up to where I had to go to like a military base or anything like that, they never sent me. And you can't go on those bases if you got any kind of pending charges or anything like that. I think I'd worked there long enough and they seen that I was a good guy.
They saw your good work.
They
and
knew my
finding
good
a
work.
good fucking fabricator and finding a good
It's hard.
welder is hard. Trust me, I know.
And let's
It's
be
hard.
honest, a lot
guy
of
that can
times
lay
that
some-
comes with records. It's
Yeah.
hard to find people like that don't have records.
Guy that can lay some dimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Laying dimes.
Yep,
When
stacking
you're-
dimes.
When you, and for those that don't know what we're talking about, if you're really a good welder and you're in the business, a guy can make a weld look like you're stacking dimes on it. You can tell a good welder just by 3 inches of his weld.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
You know,
and that was
whether
how
it's a
it was.
Heliarc or TIG or wire feed. I'm sponsored by a particular welding company because I own a racetrack and stuff. But
Right.
I'm going to see if you pick the one that I'm sponsored by. There's only 2 major welder companies. You know that,
Right.
The red one and the blue one.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Lincoln.
I'm a Miller guy.
Okay.
I'm a
But
Miller.
I've used them too, though. I mean, they're
yeah.
very tit for tat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got them so good now, man. They got these 110 welders that you can for small little jobs,
Yeah.
wire fed 110.
Yep,
And
big machines.
Yeah, a little. But they laid it. They laid.
Oh, yeah.
They laid on a nice deal. So you got your new job, and when does a preliminary hearing come?
So the preliminary hearing come a few months after the arrest. I think it was in June or July. We go in there, and it's weird. You can't present evidence in a preliminary hearing, really. It's just saying why he was charged, and it's a little different than an actual trial, right? But my lawyer made that detective look so ridiculous on the stand, I almost felt bad for her because he was like, well,
See, a
you've
lot of
tested
times a
his
preliminary
evidence.
hearing is where the state kind of lays out their case, right?
Well, that's what it is. They say the reason why they're charging you.
Right.
And he was like, well, what about the evidence that you collected, the vials of steroids in the trash can? Did you get a report back on that yet? No, we haven't tested them. You didn't what?
Oh, so I forgot to ask you, did they go to Liam's place?
They did. Well, my wife's joint at his house that night, he had shot a dose of steroids into his system. He had steroids that came to her place because he was on a cycle of them, and he had already pre-ordered them to where they were coming after his death.
The cops had to use that as evidence.
Well, they collected it,
right,
but they never had it tested. And see what my lawyer told me. He was a smart dude. Now he said, if you don't say anything about it, then you're going to have to pay to get that tested. He said, but if we bring it up in that preliminary hearing, then they'll pay to get it tested on their dime to protect them from going forward. He's like, so that's when we'll bring it up.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just like when she would say that, he was like, you didn't what? You didn't test for steroids when this guy attacked my client? You didn't what? I mean, just made her look like an idiot. He was a savage. He was a savage. But at the end of the day, the judge did bind it to trial.
The judge says, we're going to trial.
Bind it to trial. So now my lawyer said, all right, he expected that.
Your judge was hoping for maybe summary judgment, but he's like, there's just too much on a murder charge, even though I know it's just the community will flip out if we don't try it.
Community, I think, was a big reason why this went to this point.
So either like, listen, if he's innocent, it'll play out, but we got to send it to trial.
Yeah.
Because it's a murder gimmick.
100%.
So, and which I understand.
I do. I'm not too mad at that portion of it. And what my lawyer told me, he expected that. He told me, he's like, it's probably going to get sent to trial.
Very rarely do you get summary of judgment.
Right. Now what we do is we prepare for an immunity hearing based on self-defense and castle law. So he brings in this forensics investigator from New York. They come in. Remember I told you about the bullet that hit the refrigerator and hit the wall? They put up the lasers. They put the laser from the wall to the refrigerator, from the refrigerator back to the corner, which proved where I was standing. Let me tell you how slick Savage is now. He's got this shirt that's got the 2 exit wounds marks on the T-shirt, which is where the bullets exit out of. They put it on our investigator that's about the same size as him. So what he's trying to do is frame up the scene, right? They couldn't get that dot to land on that exit wound. But the guy's standing there and they're shift here and, shift here, Steve, move here, and it couldn't land. I said, well, he wasn't just standing straight up. I was like, he hit me. He kind of stumbled over. Now he's already coming back towards me. He's kind of hunched over a little bit, like he's almost about to football tackle me. And when he did that,
when they
red
put him
dot
in that,
went right on that
put him
shirt.
in that body position, it lined up.
Lined up perfect. And my lawyer said,
now, are they videotaping all this?
Oh,
too?
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. They got pictures of it, documenting all.
Right.
When he seen that, he clapped his hands. He said, I'm good.
When Savage saw the lineup, he's like, man, we're good. We're good.
He said, this is it. He's like, we're going to do the immunity hearing. This is how we're going to roll.
So now this is what because we got COVID.
Well, see, that happened. That was right after that. When we done that, COVID hadn't hit yet. We were like, all right, this is what we're going to move with. This is it. That's what he needed to. This was his smoking gun, so to speak. Then, boom, COVID happens.
Because
now they're not doing anything in court.
Because Savage was probably going to roll up into the court and just make him look stupid.
Exactly.
Just say, listen, motherfucker, here's our forensic evidence.
Backs his story 100%.
We need to let this dude go.
And that was the plan.
Right.
But then COVID hit. So now that backs the courts.
Now COVID hits and you're still on paper.
Still on paper.
Right.
Still doing it. Actually, I did lose the job at the sign company because of COVID. It cut back the hours. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get fired for the other stuff. I wound up getting let go for that. So now I'm back looking for another job, and I find this welding company, startup company. I go there, and I had anxiety so much at the sign company because I knew they knew. I just thought every day was going to be the day they brought me in there. And so now, third roll around doing this. This guy's from Texas, and he makes me a job offer, nice, making more than I was making at the other ones. And I said, look, man, I got to be straight with you about something I'm in the middle of going through. And I give him the story, and he looked at me, and he said, man, I'm from fucking Texas. He's like, you didn't do shit I wouldn't have done. You got no problems with me. And his name is Michael Meyer. I don't work for him anymore now, but he's a great dude. He's a good friend of mine, a solid guy. I always, at my job, when we lose people, if I know they're a good dude and they just had a bad run, I'll send them over to him to go work for him. Right, and I'll continue to do that because he's a good guy.
I mean, in spending a couple hours with you, you present really well.
Yeah, thank you.
Like you're a well-spoken dude, and spend 10 minutes interviewing you for a job. You come across as a good dude.
Right.
Your story's compelling and it's believable, and so I could see where a guy from Texas, a good old boy
Yeah.
who doesn't live in that community necessarily and is judged by all the scuttlebutt bullshit, would not, I don't want to say take a chance on you, but give you a shot and not hold that against you.
Yeah, and he did, and I love him to death for it. I actually got promoted all the way up to shop supervisor.
Yeah.
In there, and
He
so
probably was an instrumental part of you getting through this.
He was. He very much was.
Michael Meyer.
And I've told him, Michael Meyer, yeah, almost Myers, like the Halloween character movie.
Yeah.
One S off.
So we got COVID. That runs its course. You're still on paper. You get a new job with Michael Meyer. He's cool as hell. You don't have to have the anxiety anymore, thinking that the sign company's going to fuck you. Mm-hmm. And so where we go from here?
So it's moving along the best it can. The court system is backed up. The podcast is actually starting to take off a little bit. I'm getting opportunities to go out of town and fly to New York.
Yeah.
I told Andy, I said, look, this is technically a job. This is work. I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Not a ton because my subscribers were low at the time, but it's still a job. They run it up to the solicitor. Solicitor says, yeah, go ahead. They send me to New York for 3 days.
For podcasting stuff.
For podcasting stuff.
Nice.
So I go up there, knock out the podcasting stuff.
I mean, it's almost like you're not even fucking on paper.
A little bit, yeah. Because I'm like, all right, now I know if I'm in New York, ain't nobody watching me.
Right.
I don't know anybody can see that fucking far.
Right.
So I can
go to a
freelance.
restaurant,
Yeah, I can freelance a little bit up there in New York.
Like, don't get too crazy.
Yeah, don't get too crazy. That's what my lawyer told me.
Yeah,
He said, look, I can explain away a lot, but don't get locked up in a bar or a DUI.
Yeah.
I can explain away a lot.
And it ain't hard to go to New York and not get arrested. But you can have a good time.
Oh, very much.
Yeah. When do you finally get your justice?
So the podcast, like I said, I went to New York about 3 months later, had to go back again. They gave me the okay to go again. And now I tell Andy, I said, Andy, man, this could be a reoccurring thing, me traveling and stuff. I say, can we go ahead and put our foot on the gas with this? And he said, they just changed the solicitor, the original solicitor we had left. They had a woman come in. She was only there for 2 months. She left. Now they had a brand new solicitor, just got the position. The solicitor is basically like the DA, state attorney.
State attorney.
They would be the one over the control of this, right? And he said, I've got an idea.
And shit changes drastically with the new state attorney on how they look at stuff.
Right.
Democratically, Republican.
Very much so.
That changes a lot on how they interpret it.
Very much so.
So probably the new one that you got looked at it and said...
Well, I think one of the times we did go back into court, I didn't mention it because it wasn't really a big deal, but we went in for a bond modification, which they extended my house arrest to where I could go to my son's sporting events.
Okay.
But other than that, it was very uneventful. But there was an exchange between the solicitor and my lawyer. And I'm sitting there, and my lawyer's to my right, the solicitor's standing in front of us, and they're jawing back and forth. And I knew right then that the only reason I ain't gonna say the only reason, but one of the reasons he wanted to press this case, he wanted to go one-on-one with Savage.
It was a badge of honor for him.
Yeah, he wanted to go one-on-one with the big bad fucking Andy Savage.
He wanted to say I beat Savage if he could.
If he could. Me, didn't matter. I was fly shit to him.
You were collateral damage.
Exactly, 100%.
Pawn.
This other guy, I don't think he had that mindset. And Andy told me, he said, look, I've got an idea. He said, we're going to reach out to this solicitor. He said, we're going to give the new one. He said, we're going to give him everything we got. We're going to give him the forensic stuff that we took. We're going to say why their case is bullshit. We're going to lay it all out there to him. And we think it'll be enough that he could possibly drop this. He said, but if he sees anything that he thinks is a flaw or that he can get around in court, then we've laid our cards on the table. So it's a gamble, Wade. What do you want to do? And I'm a gambler. I've been gambling all my life. We're rolling the dice, baby.
I think even if you laid your cards on the table, all your cards are so fucking solid.
Right.
If you were to armchair quarterback your case, now that it's all said and done, what do you think your weakest position was? I think you got to.
I don't think there was one.
No, and I'm not saying this in a like I'm trying to catch him kind of deal, but I mean like I've listened to the whole thing. And I don't see a hole in it.
That's the thing. There wasn't.
So even if we lay our cards out, I don't think we got a 9 in the fucking deck.
No, we don't. It's 10 and above all the way to the ace.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to roll flush there.
Right. I don't think we got a 9 in there.
And so that's what we decided to do. We did it. And had to fly. And keep in mind, when I said these forensics guy come down, now the forensics guy got to come back down to put a package together. They don't come out of the goodness of their fucking heart. It's money, baby. You got to pay every time. So
Savage don't come cheap, does he?
No, sir. His people don't either.
Were you 6 figures into it, brother?
Oh, yeah. By the time it was all said and done, I was over 100,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Wade, $100,000 to prove your innocence. When the fundamental judicial system is set up to be innocent till proven guilty. But an innocent man had to pay over $100,000 to be able to prove his innocence on what should have been for free.
100%.
What should have been what the officers saw on the scene, how they saw it then, before the female detective picked it up and wanted to be Catwoman, and before the solicitor wanted to go against Savage. You can see the fuckery, the political fuckery there between the detective, between the solicitor that wanted to have his oh wow moment with Savage, and everything changed when the new solicitor got in there and probably had a different outlook on, I don't want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
They work on high percentages. They don't like getting their ass kicked.
No.
So, isn't it horrible? I was in a federal lawsuit, cost me $800,000 to prove my innocence, and we end up settling. I just get so fucking mad when a guy like you, just a regular dude, hardworking, fucking blue collar dude, good dad, good husband, went through some shit, and it damn near financially ruined you inside and out to prove your innocence.
Oh, it did. I've just now got like IRS situations taken care of because it was, you got to think, Bub, I went from making 6 figures a year at Nucor to being fired. I'm on food stamps, everything I can do to get help, government assistance, get a job. It's nowhere near me. It was probably half of what I was making before. Yeah, 40,000, about 44,000.
Which ain't shit.
Now I'm having to work my way back up. I'm still having to pay when this guy comes in for this, $5,000 for this, $2,500 for this, $1,800 for this. Even when it wrapped up, there was more money that that still went out.
When I was at my federal deal, it was like, okay, I know you're $650,000 into this, but now we need another $100,000 to get ready for trial.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
And that could have been a possibility with me because my lawyer said if it goes to trial,
I
it's
need
more
another
money.
$25,000.
And I'm like,
if you would have pled out, let me tell you something, Wade. If you would have had to go to trial, he would have come to you and said, "Hey, I need $25,000 to get trial ready."
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
But see, a lot of times, you mentioned Jamie earlier, right? You said, what happened to Jamie? Well, part of the package that we presented was how many holes was in the investigation to begin with, right? You didn't even find one of the bullets. I had to find them. Your people had to come back out to bag and tag the bullet, right? They come out, they take pictures, document everything, put it in a bag. All right, gentlemen, see you later. They leave. My investigator was there with me when they did that because my lawyer was like, I'm going to have Steve there when they come.
Right.
So he's there. They leave. Steve looks at me and he said, turn around and look behind you. I turn around and look. They left the fucking camera that they used to take pictures of the bullet, and they're gone. They're down the street. So that camera is now broke chain of custody. Who knows what the fuck's on there?
Right.
Who knows what other cases were on there?
Right.
And so Savage is like, we won't need that. He's like, but I'm going to put that
in my pocket.
I'm going to put it in the pocket. He's like, that could theoretically set murderers free. Right. He's like, I'm going to put that in the pocket.
Because you just broke the chain of custody.
Exactly.
That's
so
got to
all
be with,
that stuff on there is
the cop
inadmissible
at all times.
Yep. 100%.
They have to know where that camera is at all times.
They go to Jamie that morning to get a statement from him at probably like 8-something that morning when they found out his involvement, the prior night. He answers the door and he tells them, like, look, I'm still drunk. He's like, I'm fucked up. Because he had been drinking that night. And they still investigate, or they still talk to him, ask him questions. You think if somebody's drunk, you might follow back up, right? You might come back tomorrow.
I'll come see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
buddy.
I'll come see you tomorrow. Why don't you have a cup of coffee?
How about you lay off the bottle for today, and I'll come see you tomorrow, buddy.
Put the booze down. I'll be by tomorrow.
But I don't think Jamie could have hurt you because
he
he's
never
so
could hurt.
ironclad.
But they never come back. They never.
You know why?
Re-interviewed him.
You know why? Because he couldn't help him.
Yeah, and that's why.
They don't ever come back to motherfuckers that can help.
So we put all that into a package. Like they were saying, well, they were so close. He said they were close, but he didn't have any blood on him. Well, the guy was like, well, look, the dude was wearing 3 layers of clothes. He had on a T-shirt, a regular shirt, and then like a Liam, and like a longer, long sleeve shirt that was like a wicking material that you wear.
Like a
fish, like I said, it was a little chilly. Shirt. Yeah, a little chilly.
Yeah.
So when everything was center mass, there was no blood transfer over there.
No, he had a lot of absorption.
Yeah, a lot of layers. And that was like, well, he said there was a scuffle, but there's no signs of a scuffle. Well, they took the officer's first arriving body cam footage, and you zoom in and you see like knocked over shot glasses on the floor, which got knocked over when we were tussling around, a knocked over glass on the counter.
Did you have any marks on your neck?
Well, I had a beard, a little bit of a beard, so it was all like right up in here. But there was pictures taken the day of that they even showed. It was like, here you can see the marks. And so it basically laid out every reason why the police department was full of shit and why we were telling the truth. And one of the biggest things was they said, well, we don't think they were in close proximity. Well, if he's further back, those bullets don't have a chance to separate. Because one separates, hits the water, one hits the door. If he's further back, they're hitting side by side. So that proved that he was up closer. And so we go through the whole deal. We go through that, and they was like, we'll let you see what we have here in the police station, but he's not allowed. So I couldn't go.
But your lawyer could.
My lawyer could. He said, then we're going to go to the Williamson house. I never moved that refrigerator. Same refrigerator. Dent's still there. Everything's still the same. My investigator gets there first, and I asked him, I said, so what did they show y'all? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, what do you mean nothing? He's like, they've got nothing. He's like, they've got your clothes, your gun, your computer. They took my computer for whatever reason. And he's like, they got nothing. He was like, I was looking at Andy like,
what you got?
What you got? We're expecting something. Like, well, this is why we're thinking
Motherfuckers
this.
put you for 5 years
with nothing.
Of bullshit, and when it's time to show their cards, they got fucking 8 9s.
Yeah, 8 9, nothing. And so they get there, and I walk.
That had to piss you off.
It did.
I was like, what the fuck?
The solicitor gets there, him and his number 2. And we walked the kitchen. I showed him, hey, we were here. He goes to the bathroom right here. He comes out. This is where we lock up. This is where I'm standing. I shoot. That's this mark right here in the refrigerator. Boom. That's the mark where it hit the wall. Never covered it up. Still there with the fucking sticker that the crime scene people put on it. Everything's there. I hand him the glass, the rocks glass that was knocked over. I said, here, hold out your hand. I put the glass in his hand. I said, does that feel like something you can just knock over by brushing up against it? I said, that's got to be hit to be knocked over. And you could tell he took it in, like he was understanding. He asked me 1 or 2 questions, nothing major, and then he left. And so I told me and the lawyer was talking, I said, so what now? And he's like, we just wait. So that was July of 2023. August, September, October goes by. I told my lawyer, I was like, man, that sure would be a good birthday present. I'm a Virgo. My birthday's September 2nd. If they drop this damn, murder case. And he's like, I was hoping for it. He's like, I guess we're still waiting. And so he sends an email in like second week in October. And he was like, hey, I haven't heard anything back from you guys. He's like, we're ready to get this done. I'm going to put in a motion for a trial date to be set for this immunity hearing. We got to get this behind us. 2 weeks later, I'm at work. I'm coming down with the flu, feeling horrible, but still got to work, got to make the bills. Bills don't stop. My lawyer's name pops up on my phone. Now, it wasn't like I knew that was the phone call, because he calls me from time to time. Not all the time, but every now and then.
It could be, hey, Wade, you owe me $2,500.
Yeah, that's usually what, hey, well, I got that $1,500
hey, Wade,
you got
we
to
had
send
that
me.
forensic test, and it was $5,000, brother. You only got $3,000 in the account.
Yeah.
Could have very well been that.
At one time, he was like, we need $3,000 to get some records sent from Alabama.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I'll go drive up there and get it for cheaper than that.
So every call from Andy wasn't necessarily
wasn't all good. And he goes, Wade, how you doing? I said, man, I think I'm coming down with something, not feeling great. He said, well, this news is going to make you feel better. He said, brother, it's over. Your case has been dismissed. Your record is now working on being expunged. You're free to come get your weapons back. Because I had other guns. They were at his office.
Sure, yeah.
He said, you're free to come get your weapons back. He said, it's done. It's over, brother. We did.
And what date was that, Wade?
It was like the 27th of October of 2023.
I have October 28th, 2020.
28th, yeah. I'm sorry.
October 28th. Yeah. I did a little research.
Yeah.
Dropped on October 28th, 2023. And this whole thing started in April of 2018.
Yes.
God. All because you were doing a guy a solid by listening to him, get through a tough time, and over 5 years of your life, $100,000 later. And you know what? Like, people that are watching this right now, they need to realize this could happen to them.
Anybody.
Wade, you're just a regular dude. You're not a guy that travels in, methamphetamine circles or, fraudulent circles or, you're just a regular dude. Look at you. You're just a regular dude. Yeah. And
regular middle America gun-owning, law-abiding citizen.
That defended yourself. Had you not had your gun on you, which is your right to carry in your own house, you might have been killed.
Very well could.
Old boy was 6'2", 250 with, fucking a screw loose.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had kitchen knives in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you had shit that he could have killed you with.
If he'd have knocked me down, like with my back issues and everything that I had going, he could have done
taken
whatever
one of them
he
big
wanted.
shot glasses and fucking rifled it right upside your melon.
Boom. It'd have been over.
And it seems like this whole fucking thing, Wade, was about people trying to make a name for themselves.
Yes, 100%.
And from
the detective was trying to make a name for herself.
Yes.
The solicitor liked the idea of going up against a big badass attorney that had been kicking
throw
Berkeley County's
COVID
ass
in
for
there,
years.
throw COVID in there, and you got yourself a modern day fuck job.
And the new guy, I know he did his due diligence, at least to a degree, of looking into me because, and I've never said this on a podcast either, but I knew his name. His name, Patrick Goodwin. And because me and my lawyer had spoken about it. Well, I forgot where I was at, and I was looking on my phone. You know how Facebook, you can see if somebody friend requests you.
Yeah.
Patrick Goodwin comes up as a friend request. And I go to hit it to see, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I hit it. Well, by then he had already canceled it and took it away. But it let me know that he was looking. You know what I'm saying? He was I don't want to say stalking, but he's checking out. He's doing his due
looking at your
diligence.
Facebook.
Yeah, he
because
was.
a lot of agencies will sometimes, the first thing they go is they go investigate the guy's social media.
Yeah.
Because people tell on themselves.
Yeah, all the time.
People are fucking stupid.
All the time.
You know, and so he was trying to catch it maybe in a trick bag on some shit, you know.
Or either maybe just checking it out and seeing what type of guy I was. You know, he probably didn't know. He was coming into this with all these cases. I'm sure I wasn't the only case on his desk.
Right.
But we were the one pushing. And obviously when you got Andy Savage backing it, you want to pay a little bit more attention to that one.
This should be a testimonial for Andy Savage, my friend.
Well, he does a lot of big profile cases, man. He just beat another one that he had for a while that they went through the court. It was a hung jury. They tried to go and charge the guy again. And then
took a second shot at it?
Took a second shot at it, in which he had reports that there was a whole testimony that wasn't even put into court the first time. The situation was a guy was being charged with his wife's murder, and the wife was found hanging by a garden hose hooked to a fence. They were trying to say that he did it. He was saying it was suicide. So they interviewed the lady's mom, and the mom said that weeks before this happened, she was saying that if it wasn't for her kids, she would probably just hang herself. Not kill herself, hang herself.
Her mama said that.
Her mama said that to the cop. Cop never turned it in. Never turned it. It never made it into investigation. It wasn't in the first trial. Never mentioned. Andy found out about it somehow. When it got caught up in the second trial, judge dismissed the case.
So in closing, Wade, in life as you get older, you know, you look at things differently. And has this changed? You know, I mean, that 5 years of hell has probably changed your outlook of life. I mean, everything's way more precious now. Everything's way more meaningful. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you know, physically it changed. I had hair when this started, you know. But it does, man. It makes you take everything. Like the problems that I thought I had before this, they're not problems anymore.
Did it make you and Felicia stronger?
It did. It did. As crazy as that sounds, it did. You know, we were sitting together not too long ago at lunch, and she was talking about, you know, talking to kids and kids saying, I've got a hard, going through some rough stuff. And she was just like, look, some kids have rough stuff going on. She was like, but others, not so much. And she's like, what I really want to say is like, look, let me tell you about rough.
Let me tell you about your fucking pops. Okay?
Yeah, let me tell you about rough stuff. And I mean, that's just what it is. You know, we're battle tested to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we're
proud
still
of you,
here,
my
man.
friend.
20
I'm so
plus
proud of
years
you.
going strong, and you know, still rocking and rolling.
Good for you, my man. Let's promote your podcast one more time. Tell everybody where they can get it. It's called Crime and Entertainment.
Yep, Crime and Entertainment. It's
With,
on all the majors.
with Hollywood
man.
Wade.
Hollywood Wade. All the majors. YouTube. We drop at least one episode a week, and all the regular major audio platforms like, you know, Google Podcast, Apple, Spotify, all the major stuff. And then we're also on social medias as well.
Just Google Crime and Entertainment with Hollywood Wade, and it'll come up.
Yep.
5 different ways to catch it.
Yep. Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. We put out shorts and clips for all our episodes. And there's definitely something in there you're like. We interview everybody from drug smugglers, mobsters, porn stars, wrestlers, actors,
there you go.
authors, and even a bunch of people that have been wrongfully convicted, because that's also been a passion of mine.
That's got to be a niche for you.
Since this is over,
that's got
making sure I highlight cases where people have done time for stuff they didn't do. I've interviewed people that's done 3 years in prison. One guy did 17.
How about Matt Cox?
Another guy did 22.
Like 13, 14 years in prison.
Well, these guys are innocent, though. Matt was pretty guilty.
Boy, is Matt, you know what? I've gotten to know Matt. And he's a good dude.
Oh, I love him to death.
And
He's
I'm
done
afraid
more
to take
for
him to
me.
my house that he's sizing my house up and he's going to own it tomorrow. But he's fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah, he's helped me out so much. He was the first show that I did when I started telling my story, because when I was doing the podcast, I wasn't talking about my stuff because it was still going on.
Right.
And then once it got dropped, I'd had Matt on my show, and I called him and I was like, "Hey, man, I had this all going on.
I got a story for you."
And I got a story for you. And he was like, "Bro, come to Tampa."
Yeah.
And I go down there, we knock it out, and he's like, "Give me a minute." He calls Danny, put me on Danny the next day.
Fucking Danny's the man, too.
He's done more for me in this business and this podcast business than anybody else.
Both such good dudes, and they get me guests. I got you through Matt and
Yeah.
Danny, and I got this counterfeiter dude coming up that I got through Danny and Matt.
Oh, the one that made the money?
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Jeff Turner.
Jeff
I think.
Turner.
Jeff Turner.
Yeah. Oh, he's
I
a
got
smart
Jeff
cat,
Turner
man.
coming up, and I got him through Matt and Danny.
Yep.
So here's the thing, because you were in radio a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing about radio, terrestrial radio, and I've been doing it for almost 40 years, is that everybody is a bunch of selfish motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I got something, I'm not, and you're my competition, or I'm not gonna. This is my shit. Fuck you. But in podcasting, they help each other out. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Here, brother. Here you go. Take it. Let me help you out." In podcasting, it's like a little. When you get your friends like Danny and Matt and Ian, and you get your friends, they're like, "Fuck, I've already had I've already had Wade on. He did fucking great numbers for me. You have Wade on.
Yeah.
He'll do good for you too." It's refreshing to work in that type of atmosphere than the I'm here to fuck you, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you any special secret sauce.
Than the
Whereas
cutthroat business.
you know, Matt and Danny, I got your number through Matt. Matt's
Yeah.
like, not only will I get you Wade, I'll get you his number and get his ass down there.
Yeah.
So
And he called me and he's like, "Do you happen to know who Bubba the Love Sponge is?" I said, "Absolutely, I know who Bubba the Love Sponge is." And he's like, "He wants to do an interview." I'm like, "You just give me the play. I'm there."
I really am proud of you, my friend. You really have overcome some unbelievable odds. You've turned out to be a unbelievable dude.
Well, thank you.
I wish you best on your podcasting and whatever you continue to do. And more importantly, man, you stick with Felicia, because that's your ride or die right
Oh,
there.
yeah, 100%.
That's your ride or die right there, brother.
Yep.
And I'm going to shake your hand, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
And again, Hollywood Williamson. You can always catch his podcast. It's called Crime and Entertainment. And by the way, he's not pirating VHS tapes anymore. He stopped doing that. So
When
I
VHS
think,
stopped, I stopped.
and I think the statute of limitations are gone.
It
now,
is.
So
That's
we're
why I
good.
talked
We're
about
good.
that.
Appreciate y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you can to see more great stuff like this. And more importantly, let's thank Hollywood Wade for coming and spending a few hours with us today, man. Thank you, Hollywood.
Thank you, brother.